The night my ex cheated with her lover in front of 12 million viewers, she thought she was humiliating me on the most expensive reality show in the country. What she did not know was that I had created the show, financed every camera, approved every contestant, and written the clause that allowed me to expose every lie, she told before the final episode ended. Her name was Vanessa Cole. For 3 years, she had called me too quiet, too ordinary, too cautious. She said I lacked ambition because I drove a 7-year-old sedan and wore the same black watch to every dinner. She never knew the sedan belonged to a shell company. The watch had been a gift from the chairman of North Atlantic Media, and the quiet man she mocked at home controlled the largest unscripted television network in the country. I had hidden all of it from her. At first, I told myself I wanted to know whether she loved me without the money. By the end, I realized I had only given her enough darkness to reveal what had always been inside her. The show was called Hearts Without Masks. The concept was simple. 6 couples entered a private luxury resort on St. Aurelia Island. For 6 weeks, they lived under constant surveillance while producers tested their trust, temptation, and loyalty. Each week introduced new challenges, hidden secrets, and carefully selected singles designed to expose cracks in every relationship. Vanessa had begged me to apply. She said it would make us famous. I had pretended to hesitate. Then I had arranged for her application to be chosen before she finished filling it out. The man she cheated with was Damian, a fitness influencer with a sculpted jaw, a borrowed sports car, and 3 million followers who believed every photograph he posted had been taken spontaneously. He entered the show as one of the single temptations. Vanessa recognized him immediately. She had been following him for 2 years. I knew because I owned the data company that had mapped every public interaction between them before production began. On the 4th night, they kissed beside the infinity pool. On the 5th, they disappeared into the unmonitored bathroom beside the Eastern Cabana. There were no cameras inside that bathroom. There was, however, a microphone in the vent. I was sitting in the control room beneath the main villa when her voice came through my headphones. "You have no idea how long I have wanted this," she whispered. Damian laughed softly. "What about your harmless?" That was me, Ethan Cross, harmless. I sat in front of a wall of 72 live feeds while a dozen producers watched my face and pretended not to know who I really was. Only 3 people on the island knew I had created Hearts Without Masks. Mara Quinn, the executive producer, Noah Reed, my legal director and oldest friend, and Julian Pierce, the network president who answered to me. Everyone else believed I was simply another contestant, a broke software consultant with a dull personality and an attractive girlfriend who had outgrown him. Vanessa continued speaking. "He will forgive me," she said. "He always does," Damian asked. "You have done this before?" There was a pause, then she laughed. "Not like this." My fingers tightened around the edge of the console. Noah looked at me from across the room. He had warned me. 2 years earlier, he had shown me photographs of Vanessa leaving a hotel with a marketing executive named Colin Sharp. She had cried when I confronted her. She said it had been a misunderstanding. Colin had been drunk. She had only helped him upstairs. I chose to believe her. 6 months later, Mara found messages between Vanessa and a married photographer. I chose to believe her again. The truth had been standing in front of me the entire time. I had simply kept lowering the lights. Inside the bathroom, Damian asked her what she planned to do after the show. Vanessa answered without hesitation. "I will leave Ethan during the finale." Mara slowly removed her headphones. No one in the control room spoke. Vanessa continued. "I want everyone to see it. I want the audience to understand that I chose someone better." Damian sounded pleased. "And you think they will love us? They will worship us." He kissed her again. The microphone caught everything. Clothes shifting, breathing changing, the soft impact of her back against the tiled wall. I removed my headphones. For several seconds, all I could hear was the low hum of the equipment and the pulse beating inside my skull. Mara stepped closer. "Say the word," she said. "We cut the feed, remove them both, and end this tonight." I looked at the screens. One camera showed the bathroom door. Another showed the moonlight spilling over the pool. A third showed our shared bedroom, where Vanessa had placed a framed photograph of us beside the bed to make herself appear loyal. "No," I said. My voice sounded calm. That frightened everyone more than anger would have. Noah leaned forward. "Ethan." "She wants a finale," I said. "We will give her one." Mara studied my face. "You knew this could happen when you cast Damian. I knew she was interested in him. You knew he had contacted her before the show." "Yes, and you still put him here." I looked at the bathroom door on the monitor. I needed certainty. Noah stood and walked toward me. "You have it." I nodded. The pain inside me had stopped burning. It had become something colder, cleaner, useful. Lock the raw audio, I said. Duplicate it to 3 secure servers. No editor touches it without written authorization from me. Mara crossed her arms. What are you planning? I turned toward the production schedule displayed on the central screen. The 6th week ended with a live finale in front of an audience of 800 guests. Sponsors, journalists, influencers, and entertainment executives would all be seated beneath the glass dome at the Aurelia Grand Theater. Vanessa believed she would stand on that stage, announce that she had discovered her true self, take Damian's hand, and become the most talked about woman in America. She was right about one thing. Everyone would talk about her. Move the loyalty auction to week 5, I said. Add the private confession challenge before it. Mara's eyes narrowed. The confession challenge was cut during development. Put it back. Noah understood first. You want them to record statements alone. Yes. Statements they believe cannot be shown without permission. Yes. Mara glanced between us. The psychological release permits broadcast if the confession contradicts a public claim made during the finale. I nodded. I had written that clause myself. Vanessa had signed it without reading past the first page. She had laughed when I asked whether she wanted a lawyer to review the contract. People like us do not need lawyers, she said. People like us. The phrase returned to me now with almost perfect clarity. She had never known what kind of person I was. I stood, prepare a second edit bay, separate team. No leaks. What about Damian? He believes he is using her. And Vanessa believes she is using him. Yes. Noah's mouth hardened. So who are they actually working for? I looked at the live feed as the bathroom door opened. Vanessa stepped outside first. Her hair was slightly disordered. She adjusted the strap of her white dress and checked her reflection in the dark window. Damian followed with a smile that had sold protein powder, luxury watches, and fake confidence to millions of strangers. Neither of them looked ashamed. Neither of them knew the camera above the palm tree had captured their faces clearly. They are working for me, I said. I returned to the villa 20 minutes later. Vanessa was already in bed. She had changed into a silk robe and placed the framed photograph back on the bedside table. When I entered, she smiled as though nothing had happened. Where were you? Walking. You should not wander alone. It makes you look antisocial. I removed my shoes. I thought viewers liked authenticity. They like emotion, she said. You barely show any. I sat on the edge of the bed. She reached for my hand. The same hand that had touched Damian minutes earlier slid over my wrist. I looked at her fingers. She mistook my silence for weakness. She always had. You need to try harder, she continued. This show could change our lives. It will, she smiled. I knew you would understand. I looked at her face. Vanessa had always been beautiful in a way that made people forgive her before she apologized. Golden brown hair, green eyes, a small scar above her left eyebrow that she claimed came from falling off a bicycle when she was 8. That story was also a lie. The scar came from a champagne glass thrown during a fight with her former roommate. I had discovered that while the casting team conducted background checks, there were many things I knew now. Bank transfers from Colin Sharp, private messages with Damian, a second phone hidden inside the spare tire compartment of her car, a secret debt of $180,000 owed to an offshore sports betting platform. She had not joined the show only for fame. She needed money. The winning couple received $2 million. Vanessa believed that if she abandoned me for Damian during the finale and convinced the audience to vote for them as the show's most authentic connection, she could claim half of the prize. What she did not understand was that Damian had his own contract. He received a performance bonus for creating romantic tension. He was not eligible to share the grand prize. He had never told her. I lay beside Vanessa while she turned off the lamp. In the darkness, she whispered, I think this could be the beginning of something incredible. I stared at the ceiling. So do I. The next morning, the host gathered everyone beside the pool. Her name was Celeste Monroe, a former investigative journalist with a voice smooth enough to sell disaster as entertainment. She wore a red suit and held a black envelope embossed with the silver heart logo I had designed 5 years earlier. Today, she announced, each couple will face the mirror room. Vanessa squeezed my hand for the cameras. The mirror room had not been part of the original schedule. Mara had assembled it overnight. One contestant at a time would sit before a wall of screens, displaying moments from their relationship. They would answer questions chosen from confidential psychological interviews. Their partners would watch from another room without being seen. The questions were designed to provoke honesty or panic. I entered first. The room was circular, white, and silent. A single black chair faced 12 screens. When I sat, Celeste's voice came through a hidden speaker. Ethan, do you trust Vanessa? Yes. It was technically true. I trusted her to behave exactly as the evidence suggested. Do you believe she loves you? I paused. No. Behind the glass, Vanessa would be watching. Celeste continued. Why are you still with her? Because I wanted to see how far she would go before she realized I was watching. Silence filled the room. I knew Mara had not written that question. Celeste had improvised. Good. Are you watching now? She asked. Yes. What do you see? I looked directly into the central camera. A woman who thinks betrayal only hurts when it is discovered. The red light above the lens remained steady. I imagined Vanessa sitting in the observation room, trying to decide whether I knew about Damian. Celeste asked, does it? No. What hurts more? Discovering that the person betraying you believes you are too stupid to notice. When I left the mirror room, Vanessa was waiting near the fountain. Her smile was tight. That was dramatic. You said viewers like emotion. She searched my face. Were you talking about me? Who else would I be talking about? Her eyes sharpened. For 1 second, I saw fear. Then she laughed and touched my chest. You almost sounded dangerous in there, almost. She kissed my cheek. The gesture was for the camera. So serious, she whispered. People are going to think you hate me. Do you care? I care what they think. That was the most honest thing she had said since we arrived. Damian approached from the terrace carrying 2 glasses of orange juice. He wore an open white shirt and the expression of a man entering a room he believed already belonged to him. Everything good? He asked. Vanessa stepped away from me too quickly. Perfect. Damian handed her a glass. He did not offer one to me. I looked at the juice, then at him. Long night, his smile barely changed. Best sleep I have had in months. Vanessa stared at the pool. I nodded. I am glad you enjoyed yourself. Damian studied me. He was not intelligent, but vanity had made him sensitive to disrespect. You have something you want to say? Not yet. The air tightened. Vanessa stepped between us. Do not start. I smiled at her. I have not started anything. That afternoon, production announced the first public ranking. Viewers had voted for the couples they believed were most likely to survive the show. Vanessa and I ranked last. She was furious. She waited until we reached our bedroom and slammed the door. This is your fault. I loosened the microphone pack from my belt. How? You look miserable in every scene. Maybe I am. You are embarrassing me. I set the microphone on the dresser. She forgot the room microphones were still active. I brought you here, she snapped. I gave you a chance to become someone. I looked at her. You believe you gave me this opportunity? Without me, no one would watch you. I almost laughed. Instead, I sat in the chair near the window. Vanessa paced. I need people to connect with us. I need them to believe we have a future, do we? She stopped. Her expression changed instantly. The anger vanished. Tears gathered in her eyes with professional speed. Why would you ask me that? Because you just said viewers need to believe it. They do. I asked whether it is true. She sat beside me and took my hand. I love you. The lie arrived smoothly. She had practiced. I wondered how many times she had said the same words to different men and watched them become grateful. I turned my palm upward and held her fingers gently. Then say it during the confession challenge. Her body stiffened. What confession challenge? I allowed surprise to cross my face. You did not know. Tomorrow. Everyone records a private statement about the person they truly want to leave the island with. Vanessa recovered quickly. That sounds easy. She studied me. Can the statements be shown? Only with permission. That was what the contestants had been told. It was not the entire truth. She relaxed. Then I will say exactly how I feel. I hope you do. That night, she met Damian behind the equipment shed. The camera feed captured them from above. I think Ethan suspects something, she said. Damian leaned against the wall. He does not. You did not see him today. I saw a weak man trying to sound strong. She folded her arms. What if he confronts us? Then we deny it. There are cameras everywhere. Not everywhere. He pulled her closer. I watched from the control room. Noah stood beside me with a tablet. We completed the financial audit, he said quietly. I kept my eyes on the screen. And her gambling debt is worse than we thought. $260,000. Interest compounds weekly. Who owns the debt? A private collection firm in Delaware. Buy it. Noah looked at me. You want to become her creditor? I want every exit closed. He typed in more. Damian has been negotiating with a rival network. He plans to claim our production manipulated him. Did he sign a non-disclosure agreement? Yes. Did he accept payment from the rival? Yesterday. Good. A liar is useful. A liar with documented motives is priceless. On the screen, Damian kissed Vanessa. She pulled back and whispered something into his ear. He laughed. Noah asked, do you still love her? The question irritated me because I did not know the answer. Love did not disappear when evidence arrived. It rotted slowly. It became memory, habit, humiliation, and anger tangled together so tightly that separating them felt impossible. I loved who I thought she was, I said. That person never existed. I know. Then what is left? I looked at Vanessa on the screen. A debt. The next day, the confession challenge began. Each contestant entered a private booth containing one camera, one chair, and one sealed envelope. Inside the envelope was a question. Who do you truly want to leave the island with? And what are you willing to sacrifice to make it happen? I recorded my answer first. I want to leave alone, I said. I leaned toward the camera. And I am willing to sacrifice the lie that brought me here. Vanessa entered 2 hours later. Mara sent her feed directly to my private monitor. She opened the envelope, read the question, and smiled. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she looked into the lens. I want to leave with Damian. There it was. Clean, voluntary. Undeniable, she continued. Ethan is a good man, but good is not enough. He has no fire, no vision, no power. I spent 3 years waiting for him to become someone, and I am tired of shrinking my life to protect his feelings. My jaw tightened. Vanessa crossed one leg over the other. Damian understands ambition. He belongs in the world I deserve. She paused. As for sacrifice, I am willing to give up Ethan's trust, our relationship, and whatever reputation I had before this show. People will judge me at first, but they will understand when they see how real this is. She smiled. I choose myself. The camera light went dark. Mara's voice came through my earpiece. We have it. Noah placed a folder on the desk in front of me. Inside were signed acquisition documents for Vanessa's debt. A second folder contained proof of Damian's payment from the rival network. A third contained the ownership structure of Hearts Without Masks. At the top of the final page was my name, Ethan Cross, founder. Executive creator, majority owner. I closed the folder. On the monitor, Vanessa stepped out of the confession booth, looking relieved. She believed she had protected her statement. She believed the finale belonged to her. She believed I was still the harmless man waiting to be discarded. I pressed the intercom button. Mara, yes? Begin the final sequence. There was a brief silence. Then she asked, all of it? I watched Vanessa walk into Damian's arms beneath the cameras I had placed there. All of it, I said. Across the resort, hidden monitors came alive one by one, and the countdown to the live finale began. The countdown did not appear on any screen the contestants could see. It lived inside the control room, glowing in red above the central console, while editors, legal staff, producers, and broadcast engineers moved through the next 4 days with the precision of a military operation. Vanessa believed she had time. I wanted her to feel safe. That required restraint. The morning after her confession, I found her on the western terrace eating papaya and Greek yogurt beneath a white umbrella. Damian sat across from her, one ankle resting on his knee, telling a story about a nightclub owner who had begged him to appear at an opening in Miami. When Vanessa saw me, she did not move away from him. That was new. The secrecy had thrilled her at first. Now that she believed the ending was close, she had begun testing how much she could reveal without consequences. Good morning, she said. Damian glanced at me. Sleep well? Perfectly. I poured coffee from the silver pot. Vanessa watched my hand. You seem calm. I am. That is all. What were you expecting? She looked at Damian, then back at me. I do not know. You have been strange since the mirror room. I have been paying attention. Damian laughed. To what? I stirred one spoonful of sugar into the coffee. To people, his smile tightened. Vanessa leaned back. We need to talk later. We can talk now privately. Damian lifted both hands. I can leave now, she said too quickly. The correction exposed more than she intended. I sat at the edge of the table. Stay. Vanessa frowned. This is not a joke, Ethan. I agree. She lowered her voice. I think we have grown apart. Damian looked toward the ocean, pretending not to listen. Vanessa continued. This experience has forced me to confront things I have avoided for years. I do not want to hurt you, but I cannot keep carrying a relationship that no longer reflects who I am. The words sounded polished. She had rehearsed them, probably with Damian. I took a sip of coffee. When did you? Her eyes flickered. I have felt it for a long time. Before the show? Yes. Before you asked me to apply? She hesitated. I thought the show might help us. Did it? It gave me clarity. Damian shifted in his chair. Vanessa reached across the table as if she were about to touch my hand, then stopped. I want us to handle this with dignity. I almost admired the nerve. You want dignity? For both of us? What would that look like? She exhaled with visible relief. My calmness had convinced her she remained in control. We stay respectful. We do not attack each other. We acknowledge that we changed, and Damian? He looked at me then. Vanessa sat straighter. What about him? Does your clarity include him? She opened her mouth. Damian answered first. There is a connection. Vanessa looked at him with gratitude. He continued. We did not plan it. Sometimes two people meet at the wrong time and the truth becomes impossible to ignore. I looked at him. That sounds expensive. What his brow tightened. Nothing yet. Vanessa's voice sharpened. Stop speaking in riddles. I placed my cup down. Are you ending our relationship? The direct question made her pause. A camera mounted behind the bougainvillea captured every movement. Another microphone sat beneath the table. She knew cameras were present, but she believed this scene would make her sympathetic. She softened her expression. Yes, Damian placed his hand over hers. She let him. The gesture was deliberate. For him? I asked. For myself, she said. Damian squeezed her fingers. I nodded once. Then we understand each other. Vanessa stared at me. What else should there be? I thought you would have something to say. You already decided what I am supposed to say. Her lips parted. I stood. You wanted tears, anger, humiliation. Something that would make your choice look brave. That is not fair. No, it is accurate. Damian pushed his chair back. Watch your tone. I looked down at him. You are sitting at a table you did not pay for, wearing a microphone you do not own, on an island you entered under a contract you did not read. I would be careful about giving instructions. His face changed. Not fear, not yet, but uncertainty had entered. Vanessa stood. You do not get to act superior because you are hurt. I am not acting. I walked away before she could answer. Behind me, Damian muttered something about weak men using sarcasm as armor. I heard it clearly. So did the microphone. In the control room, Mara replayed the exchange. She paused on the frame where Vanessa placed her hand beneath Damian's. That will be the opening of the finale package, she said. Noah sat beside her, reviewing contracts. Too early, he said. Use the kiss first. Mara looked at me. The pool kiss or the bathroom entrance? The terrace breakup, I said. Let her tell the audience she chose dignity. Mara understood. Then show what happened before she said it. Yes, she marked the sequence. The finale package had grown into something larger than a betrayal montage. It was an autopsy. Every lie Vanessa had told would be placed beside the evidence that destroyed it. She had claimed she joined the show to save our relationship. We had her private messages with Damian from 3 months earlier. She had claimed the connection developed naturally. We had a voice recording of her telling her friend Tessa that Damian was the only reason she accepted the casting invitation. She had claimed she did not care about money. We had bank statements, collection notices, and a message in which she promised to use her prize share to clear her gambling debt. She had claimed Damian was sincere. That was the only lie she had not invented herself. He had. Noah slid a document toward me. Damian's rival network agreement. I read the first page. He had promised to provoke a public scandal during the finale, accuse our show of manipulating contestants, then appear in an exclusive interview on Continental One the following morning. In return, he would receive $400,000 and a development deal for his own dating series. He thinks he leaves the island famous, Noah said. He will. Mara leaned against the console. You are planning to expose his contract live? Yes, that could implicate the rival network. It will. Julian says they may sue. Let them. Noah closed his tablet. There is one complication. I looked at him. The finale sponsor, what about them? Everbright Cosmetics wants Vanessa for a campaign. Mara laughed without humor. After this, they do not know about the bathroom audio. They only see the edited episodes already broadcast. Vanessa's engagement numbers doubled after the pool kiss teaser. I understood immediately. Controversy had made her valuable. Who approved the preliminary offer, I asked. Celia Ward. That name mattered. Celia was Everbright's chief marketing officer and one of the first executives who had rejected Hearts Without Masks when I pitched it 5 years earlier. She had called the concept vulgar. Then, after the pilot broke network records, she had spent years trying to buy influence inside the production. Has Vanessa seen the offer? No, Noah said. But Celia is flying to the island tomorrow. She wants a private meeting before the finale. Mara folded her arms. That violates contestant access rules. Celia claims it is a sponsor consultation. I looked at the countdown. 3 days remained. Let her come. Noah studied me. You want Vanessa to believe she has a campaign waiting. I want her to believe the betrayal worked. The next afternoon, Celia Ward arrived by helicopter. She wore a cream suit, dark glasses, and the satisfied expression of someone accustomed to walking through rules rather than around them. Vanessa met her in a private salon near the theater. The room contained 2 visible cameras. There were also 3 she did not see. I watched from the control room. Celia placed a leather folder on the table. You have become the breakout personality of the season, she said. Vanessa smiled carefully. I was not expecting that. You should have been. Celia removed her glasses. You understand the camera. More importantly, the camera understands you. Vanessa leaned forward. What does that mean? It means audiences react to you. Love is useful. Hate is often better. The smile on Vanessa's face became more natural. What are you offering? A provisional brand partnership. Beauty, travel, social media, appearances 1 year. She opened the folder. Vanessa's eyes moved to the number. Even through the screen, I saw her breathing change. $1 million? Potentially more with performance incentives. Vanessa touched the edge of the paper. What conditions? You must remain the central story after the finale. I will. And your relationship with Damian must be real enough to survive public scrutiny for at least 6 months. Vanessa hesitated only once. It is real, Celia smiled. Good. She slid the contract forward. Vanessa reached for the pen. Noah turned to me. Do we stop her? No, she cannot legally sign an outside agreement during production. The contract is provisional. It still demonstrates intent. That is why she needs to sign it. On the screen, Vanessa wrote her name. The signature was fast and confident. Celia closed the folder. One more thing. The audience dislikes Ethan. Vanessa looked surprised. They do? Quiet men read as deceptive. He has not given them enough emotion to trust him. That was not true. Public sentiment toward me had improved after the Mirror Room episode. Celia was manipulating her. Vanessa wanted to believe it, so she did. What should I do, she asked. Do not be cruel, be honest. Explain that he held you back. He did. Tell the audience. Vanessa nodded. Celestia stood. Tomorrow's loyalty auction will be your last opportunity to define the story before the finale. After she left, Vanessa remained alone in the salon. She stared at the closed door, then opened her phone. Contestants were forbidden from keeping personal devices. Damian had smuggled one inside a protein supplement container. Vanessa typed a message. The data appeared on Noah's monitoring screen. I signed the Everbright deal. 1 million, we did it, Damian replied almost immediately. Knew you would. Tomorrow we finish him. Vanessa sent a heart. I looked at the message until the screen dimmed. Mara spoke quietly. You could end it now. No, what are you waiting for? For them to finish me. The loyalty auction took place the next morning inside the grand ballroom. Each couple received a sealed case containing $100,000 in stage currency. They could bid on advantages, secrets, private dates, or immunity from certain finale questions. The currency had no value outside the game. The decisions did. Celeste stood beneath a chandelier while contestants sat at 6 tables facing the stage. Vanessa sat beside Damian. I sat alone. That arrangement had been her request. Celeste raised a black card. The first item is a private screening of your partner's confession. The room changed. Every contestant looked toward the person they had entered with. Vanessa's fingers tightened around Damian's hand. Celeste continued. Only one screening is available. The winning bidder may watch the full confession alone. No one else will know what was said. The bidding began. A married couple from Dallas offered $20,000. A pair of college sweethearts raised it to $30,000. I said nothing. Vanessa watched me. She expected me to bid for her confession. When the number reached $45,000, she whispered to Damian. He shook his head. Celeste looked toward me. Ethan, are you interested? Vanessa's mouth tightened. Celeste tilted her head. You do not want to know whom Vanessa chose? I already know. A ripple moved through the room. Damian smiled. Vanessa did not. The screening sold to another contestant. The second item was a hidden message from someone outside the show. The third was control over the seating arrangement at the finale. Vanessa spent almost her entire case to ensure she would sit beside Damian and across from me. She believed positioning mattered. She wanted the audience to see her choice before she spoke. Then Celeste raised the final card. This item is called the Truth Key. The ballroom became silent. The winner may ask one contestant one question during the live finale. The contestant must answer. Refusal results in immediate forfeiture of all appearance fees and prize eligibility. That clause was real. Every contestant had signed it. Damian leaned toward Vanessa. We need that. She nodded. Celeste announced the opening bid. Vanessa offered everything she had left. Another couple challenged her. Damian contributed his remaining balance. Together, they purchased the key. Applause filled the ballroom. Vanessa smiled at me. It was not affection. It was victory. During the break, she approached me near the service corridor. Damian remained behind, speaking to a camera. You should prepare yourself, she said. For what? The finale. I have been prepared for a long time. She crossed her arms. You keep pretending you know something. I know many things. Then say them. Not yet. Her jaw tightened. You cannot scare me. I am not trying to. You think being mysterious makes you powerful. It does not. It makes you pathetic. There it was. The cruel line she needed to believe. She stepped closer. At the finale, I am going to ask whether you knew I never loved you. I looked at her. Is that your truth key question? Yes. Then ask it. I want you to admit it in front of everyone. I want you to admit that you held on because you knew no woman like me would ever choose you again. The corridor was narrow. The camera above the exit sign captured her face clearly. I let the silence stretch. She smiled. You have nothing, Ethan. No money, no influence, no future anyone wants to watch. When this ends, I will leave with Damian, $1 million contract, and the audience on my side. I stepped closer until only a few inches remained between us. Then you should be very happy. She searched my eyes. Something in my expression unsettled her. You are insane. No. I moved past her. I am finished. That evening, Damian made his move against production. He waited until midnight, then entered the editing annex through a staff passage Celia had shown him. He believed the corridor was unmonitored. Celia believed the same. Both were wrong. I watched Damian use a stolen access card to enter the secondary edit bay. He photographed a rough sequence on the monitor, then inserted a storage device into the workstation. The device contained malware intended to copy raw footage. Noah stood beside me. Do we stop him? Let the copy begin. He could access confidential material. The workstation is isolated. A progress bar appeared. Damian smiled. He sent a message to a contact saved as Victor Continental Inside, pulling proof now. The reply came seconds later. Need anything showing manipulation, especially Ethan's setup. I read the words twice. Damian searched folder after folder. Each contained material our legal team had prepared for him to find. Producer notes, challenge revisions, casting profiles. An internal memo describing Damian as a volatility asset. He photographed everything. Then he found a folder labeled Ethan Cross. He opened it. Inside was a false psychological profile describing me as emotionally dependent, financially unstable, and highly vulnerable to public rejection. Damian laughed. He sent the document to Victor. This is gold. They cast him to break him. The reply arrived. Get out. We go live after finale. Damian removed the device and left. Noah exhaled. He took the bait. He wanted evidence of manipulation. We gave him fabricated evidence. We gave him a marked document on a protected workstation he accessed illegally. Noah smiled despite himself. The file watermark traces directly to his device. Yes. And the rival network now possesses stolen production material. Yes. Mara entered the room carrying a stack of broadcast approvals. The finale package is locked. How long? I asked. 17 minutes. Noah looked up. That is not a package. That is an execution. Mara placed the approvals in front of me. It includes the pool kiss, bathroom audio, confession, debt motive, Damian's rival contract, Celia's provisional offer, and tonight's theft. The theft happened 20 minutes ago. My editors are fast. I signed the final page. Mara remained standing. There is one problem. What? Legal cleared it. Legal cleared broadcast. I am asking whether you want to hear it in the theater. I understood. The finale would not happen inside a control room. I would be seated across from Vanessa when her voice filled the dome. I would hear every breath, every laugh, every word. Mara's expression softened. You do not need to prove anything by suffering through it. It is not about suffering. What is it about? I looked at my signature on the approval sheet. She wanted me present when she destroyed me. Mara waited. I will return the courtesy. The next day, clouds gathered over St. Aurelia. By afternoon, wind pressed against the glass walls of the theater. Production crews secured lighting rigs while guests arrived by boat and helicopter. The finale stage had been built beneath a transparent dome overlooking the sea. 800 chairs curved around a circular platform. At its center stood 3 white seats, one for Vanessa, one for Damian, one for me. Behind them rose a screen 60 feet wide. Vanessa spent 3 hours with hair and makeup. She wore a silver dress chosen by Everbright. Damian wore a midnight blue tuxedo provided by the rival network stylist, who had entered the island disguised as a sponsor assistant. I wore a black suit cut by Adrian Vale, the tailor who dressed presidents and monarchs. Vanessa did not recognize the work. She saw me backstage and smiled with pity. You cleaned up well, so did you. She turned, letting the dress catch the light. Everbright chose it, I know. Her eyes narrowed. How? Celia talks loudly. That explanation satisfied her. Damian approached, adjusting his cufflinks. Ready to become famous? I already am. He laughed. Vanessa touched his arm. Do not provoke him. Tonight should be graceful. I looked at her. Dignified, she heard the call back. Her smile faltered. A stage manager opened the curtain. The audience roared. Celeste walked into the light and welcomed the viewers watching across the country. The live broadcast count climbed. 10 million, 11 million, 12 million, then higher. We took our seats. Vanessa sat beside Damian as she had purchased the right to do. I sat across from them. Celeste reviewed the season's relationships, betrayals, reconciliations, and public votes. Then she turned toward Vanessa. You entered Hearts Without Masks with Ethan. Tonight you are sitting beside Damian. Tell us why. Vanessa lifted her chin. This was her moment. She spoke about courage, growth, authenticity. She said she had spent years making herself smaller for a man who feared ambition. She said Damian had awakened something honest inside her. The audience listened in silence. Some faces showed sympathy, others showed disgust. Vanessa continued. I know people may judge how this happened, but the heart does not follow a schedule. Damian reached for her hand. Applause rose from one section of the theater. Celia sat in the front row. She smiled. Celeste turned to Damian. Do you love Vanessa? He looked directly into the main camera. Yes, the lie was effortless. Celeste faced me. Ethan, you have heard their explanation. What would you like to say? The dome became quiet. I looked at Vanessa. She was waiting for pain. I gave her none. I think they should finish. Finish what? The story they planned. Vanessa's hand tightened around Damian's. Celeste turned back to her. You purchased the truth key. You may now ask Ethan one question he must answer. Vanessa stood. She wanted the full stage. The silver dress glittered beneath the lights as she faced me. Ethan, she said, when did you realize I never loved you? A murmur moved through the audience. She smiled faintly. It was the smile of someone already celebrating. I stood. When you told Damian in the Eastern Cabana bathroom that I was harmless and would forgive you because I always did. Every trace of color left her face. Damian stopped breathing. The audience went silent. Vanessa's lips moved, but no sound came out. I looked toward the control booth above the stage. Mara. The giant screen behind us turned black. Then white words appeared. Final, seeking off. Vanessa turned toward the screen. No, her voice was barely audible. The first image appeared. Her and Damian beside the infinity pool. The night of the kiss. The timestamp glowed beneath them. The audience gasped. Damian stood. This is edited. I looked at him. We have not reached the edit yet. The video continued. Vanessa pulled Damian closer. Then the picture cut to the bathroom door. The microphone audio began. Her voice filled the theater. You have no idea how long I have wanted this. Vanessa staggered backward. Damian looked toward the exits. Security guards stepped into position. On the screen, the bathroom door remained closed while their voices continued. What about your boyfriend? Ethan is harmless. The cruel line echoed through the dome. The audience reacted as one body. Shock. Disgust. Vanessa covered her mouth. The audio continued. He will forgive me. He always does. She looked at me. I did not move. Then came the sentence that ended every excuse she had prepared. I will leave Ethan during the finale. I want everyone to see it. I want the audience to understand that I chose someone better. The recording stopped. For 1 second, the only sound was rain beginning to strike the glass dome. Vanessa's knees weakened. Damian pointed at the screen. This is illegal. Noah stepped from the stage holding a folder. No, it is not. Damian stared at him. Noah continued. You signed an audio surveillance release covering every production area outside designated private sleeping and hygiene spaces. The Eastern Cabana bathroom was closed for maintenance and marked as an unauthorized zone. Vanessa shook her head. I did not know. I looked at her. That was the problem with every contract you signed. The screen changed again. Her private confession appeared. She watched herself say she wanted to leave with Damian. That I had no fire, no vision, no power, that she belonged in the world she deserved. The audience heard every word. When the confession ended, Vanessa turned toward Celia. Tell them about the campaign. Celia remained seated. Her expression had frozen. Vanessa pointed at her. You offered me $1 million. The screen changed. Footage from the private salon appeared. Celia's voice filled the dome. Love is useful. Hate is often better. Celia stood. That meeting was confidential. I looked toward her. Not from the executive creator. She stared at me. The audience murmured. Vanessa looked between us. What did you say? I stepped into the center of the stage. The screen behind me changed for the final time. The Silver Heart logo appeared. Below it came a list of ownership entities. North Atlantic Media, Crosslight Entertainment, Aurelia Productions. Then one name, Ethan Cross, founder, executive creator, majority owner. Vanessa stared at the screen. Her face emptied. Damian whispered, no. I turned toward them. You wanted to become famous on my show. The live audience erupted. Vanessa took one step backward. You created this? Yes. You cast us? I approved you. Her eyes widened as the full shape of the trap became visible. You knew about Damian. I knew enough to test the rest. Damian lunged forward. This was a setup, security moved, but I raised one hand. He stopped inches from me, his jaw trembled. You manipulated everything. No, I said I gave you cameras, you supplied the truth. The screen lit again. Damian's rival network contract appeared. His signature filled 60 feet of glass. Then came the messages. Get proof, accuse manipulation, exclusive interview after finale. $400,000. Damian looked toward the audience. This is fake. Noah held up the original transfer record. The payment cleared yesterday. Another message appeared. I knew you would. Tomorrow we finish him. Vanessa looked at Damian, her voice cracked. You were being paid? He did not answer. She grabbed his sleeve. You told me this was real. He pulled away. The movement said more than words. The theater erupted again. Vanessa stood between two collapsing lies. The man she had betrayed, and the man who had used her. She looked toward Celia. What about Everbright? Celia turned away. Vanessa's voice rose. You signed me. Celia finally spoke. The offer was provisional. You said $1 million. You failed the morality clause before the agreement became active. Vanessa stared at her, then at Damian, then at me. Her breathing became shallow. No, the word sounded small. I reached into my jacket and removed one final document. You also have a financial problem. Vanessa's eyes dropped to the paper. What is that? Her face changed again. Only she and I understood. You bought it, she whispered. Yes, how? The same way I bought the production company, quietly. Her knees struck the stage. The sound carried through every microphone. The audience gasped. Vanessa looked up at me from the floor. The silver dress spread around her like shattered glass. Ethan, I had imagined this moment for days. In every version I felt powerful. Instead, I felt empty. Not weak, not uncertain, finished. She reached for my hand. I made a step back. You made a plan. Tears ran down her face. I was confused. You were specific, please. Damian moved toward the edge of the stage. Security blocked him. He raised his hands. I want my lawyer, Noah smiled coldly. You will need several. The screen displayed security footage from the edit bay. Damian appeared entering with the stolen access card. The audience watched him insert the device. His messages to the rival network appeared beside the footage. Celia's face turned gray. Damian looked toward her. You showed me the corridor. Every camera turned to Celia. She stood too quickly. I did no such thing. The screen changed. Footage from the service elevator showed Celia handing Damian the access card. The theater exploded. Celia sat down, not gracefully. Her body simply failed to remain standing. Damian began shouting that production had entrapped him. Noah spoke over him. The workstation contained marked files. The material was protected. Your device copied it. Your contact received it. Every step was logged. Damian's confidence collapsed. Security took his arms. As they pulled him away, he twisted toward Vanessa. This was your idea. She stared at him from the floor. You liar. He laughed once harshly. You thought I loved you? The sentence struck harder than anything I had prepared. Vanessa flinched. Damian continued as security dragged him backward. I needed a story. You were available. The doors closed behind him. Silence returned. Vanessa remained on her knees. She looked up at me. Do not leave me like this. I heard the bathroom recording in my mind. He will forgive me. He always does. I crouched until we were eye level. She reached for me again. I did not let her touch me. You wanted the audience to understand that you chose someone better. Her mouth trembled. I lowered my voice so only the nearest microphones could hear. Now they understand what chose you. I stood. The live vote appeared on the screen. The audience had been asked one final question. Which contestant had shown the least authenticity? Vanessa's name rose above every other. 94%. She looked at the number as though it were a death sentence. Celeste stepped forward. Under the rules of Hearts Without Masks, Vanessa Cole and Damian Vale have forfeited all prize eligibility and appearance bonuses. Vanessa's head snapped toward her. No. Celeste continued. The winning prize will be donated to the National Betrayal Recovery Foundation in the name of the contestant selected by the audience as the season's most trusted participant. The screen changed. My name appeared. The audience stood. Applause filled the dome. Vanessa covered her ears. I walked toward the edge of the stage. Behind me, she screamed my name. Once. Then again, I did not turn. Rain hammered the glass above us, while the cameras followed every step. At the curtain, Mara waited. She touched my arm. It is over. I looked back once. Vanessa was still on the floor beneath my name. No, I said. Across the theater, Noah's phone lit up. He read the message, then looked at me. The rival network has filed an emergency injunction. Celia is claiming you orchestrated criminal surveillance. Damian's attorneys are demanding the raw production archive. Mara's expression hardened. The public humiliation was complete. The legal war had just begun. I took Noah's phone and read the final line of the filing. They wanted ownership of Hearts Without Masks frozen before midnight. I handed the phone back. Opened the black vault. Noah went still. Mara looked between us. What is in the black vault? I watched Vanessa being escorted from the stage while reporters crowded the exit. Everything they forgot I kept. Noah did not move for 3 full seconds. Then he turned and walked toward the restricted elevator behind the control room without asking another question. Mara followed us. The elevator descended beneath the theater, past the production level, past the equipment vault, and into the foundation of the island complex. Hearts Without Masks had been built above an abandoned naval communications station. The public knew about the resort, the villas, and the glass theater. Almost no one knew about the concrete chamber below them. The doors opened onto a corridor lit by red emergency lamps. At the end stood a steel door with no handle. Noah placed his palm against the scanner. I entered a 12-word access phrase. A mechanical lock released somewhere inside the wall, followed by 3 deeper impacts as reinforced bolts withdrew. Mara looked at me. You built this? I inherited the room. I improved the security. For television footage? For leverage. The door opened. Cold air moved over us. The black vault was not filled with weapons or jewels. It held servers. Rows of matte cabinets stood beneath fire suppression pipes, each one isolated from the network above. Physical archives occupied sealed drawers along the far wall. Contracts, transfers, private correspondence, acquisition records, and original production releases had been duplicated on paper because digital records could be altered. Paper was harder to deny. Noah approached the central terminal and entered a second sequence. The monitor woke. A Continental 1. Everbright Cosmetics. Damian Ward. Victor Lang. Mara read the names. Victor Lang is the president of Continental 1. Yes. You have a file on him? I have a file on everyone who tried to buy the show. Noah opened the Continental directory. Hundreds of documents appeared. Mara stepped closer. What did they forget you kept? Their first offer. 5 years earlier, before Hearts Without Masks had become a national obsession, Continental 1 had offered to finance the pilot. The proposal had looked generous. It was not. The contract would have transferred ownership of the format, international rights, contestant data, and all future derivative programs to Continental 1 in exchange for production funding that barely covered the first season. I had refused. Victor Lang had not taken rejection well. He had invited me to dinner at a private club in Manhattan and explained that young creators survived by accepting powerful partners. When I declined again, he leaned across the table and said, "Ideas do not belong to the people who invent them, Ethan. They belong to the people strong enough to distribute them." I had smiled, then I had recorded every word. Noah opened the audio file. Victor's voice filled the vault. "You will sell eventually. Either to me now or to someone else after I make your name poisonous." Mara stared at the speaker. "You had this for 5 years?" "Yes. What else?" Noah opened another folder. Internal Continental emails appeared. Messages discussing pressure campaigns against advertisers. Payments to entertainment journalists. Instructions to circulate rumors that our pilot had endangered contestants. A private memorandum proposed recruiting a participant to manufacture a scandal if the series succeeded without Continental. Mara read the date. This was written before the first episode aired. Yes. And Damian accepted money under the same strategy. Yes. Noah opened the newest files, the transfer to Damian. The development offer. Messages from Victor's deputy instructing him to steal production records and accuse us of psychological coercion. The plot was not spontaneous. It was the final movement of a plan that had waited 5 years for an opening. Mara let out a slow breath. They are not suing because of Vanessa. No. They are using her collapse to attack ownership. Exactly. Noah looked at me. The injunction hearing is tomorrow morning. Continental will argue that you manipulated contestants for personal revenge and therefore violated public policy, sponsor obligations, and fiduciary duties. They will request temporary control of the archive and suspension of your voting rights until the case is resolved. Mara turned toward me. Can they get it? For a few days, perhaps. Her expression sharpened. That is enough to seize the edit system, destroy unreleased evidence, and force a settlement. Noah nodded. They have a judge known for granting emergency corporate relief. I looked at the directory on the screen. Who? Judge Malcolm Reeve. I knew the name. Not personally. Financially. 3 years earlier, Reeve's brother had received consulting payments from a Continental subsidiary during a media antitrust case. The payments had passed through 2 firms and a nonprofit. The black vault contained the transfer chain. Prepare a disclosure package, I said. For the court understood immediately. Mara frowned. You are going to threaten a judge? No. I closed the Continental directory. I am going to give him the opportunity to remember his ethics. The storm intensified above us. By the time we returned to the production floor, the island docks had been closed. Guests remained inside the resort while publicists, attorneys, reporters, and sponsors flooded every available communications line. The finale had become the largest entertainment story of the year. Clips spread faster than the network could remove unauthorized copies. Vanessa on her knees, Damian being dragged from the stage, my ownership reveal, the bathroom audio. Within 1 hour, Vanessa lost more than half of her social media followers. Everbright issued a statement describing its agreement as incomplete and non-binding. Damian's sponsors deleted him from their websites. Continental One released a different statement. It accused Hearts Without Masks of coercion, unlawful surveillance, emotional abuse, and fabricated evidence. Victor Lang appeared on his own network before midnight. He sat beneath soft studio lights, wearing a navy suit, and the expression of a concerned statesman. What viewers witnessed tonight was not reality television, he said. It was the public destruction of 2 vulnerable participants by a billionaire who abused his control over production to settle a private grievance. Mara watched from the control room. He called you a billionaire. He wants the audience to hate the money. Victor continued. Continental One has obtained documents showing that Ethan Cross was psychologically unstable, financially dependent on Vanessa Cole, and specifically selected because producers believed a public breakup would break him. Noah almost smiled. He is using the marked profile, let him. Victor held up a printed copy. The American public deserves to know whether any scene broadcast tonight was real. I looked at the watermark embedded beneath the first paragraph. It was invisible on camera. Forensic analysis would find it. Victor had just displayed stolen material on live television, he continued. We are asking a federal court to preserve the evidence and protect the contestants before Mr. Cross can destroy the record. What is our response? Nothing tonight. Silence lets him frame the story. Only until morning. A producer approached with a headset. Ethan, Vanessa's attorney, is demanding access. Access to what? To you. No. He says she is in medical distress. Mara looked at me. Is she? The producer hesitated. She had a panic attack after leaving the stage. The resort physician treated her. She is stable. Then she does not need me. The producer nodded and left. Mara waited until the door closed. Yes, are you certain? No. That was the truth. Part of me wanted to see her. Not to forgive, not to comfort. To witness what remained when the performance ended. But Vanessa had spent 3 years converting my concern into permission. Every time I responded to tears, she learned that pain could erase accountability. I would not teach that lesson again. Noah's phone rang. He answered, listened, then placed it on speaker. A man's voice entered the room. Judge Reeve. Mara went still. The judge sounded tired. I received an unusual disclosure from your counsel. I assumed you would. You appear to possess documents related to my brother. Documents related to Continental One. Do you intend to file them? If necessary. There was a long pause. That could be interpreted as intimidation. It could also be interpreted as a mandatory conflict disclosure. His breathing changed. You are suggesting I recuse myself. I am suggesting you decide whether your family's financial relationship with the plaintiff creates an appearance of bias. You waited until tonight to raise this. Continental waited until tonight to file. Another pause. Then the judge spoke more carefully. The emergency hearing has been reassigned. To whom? Judge Elena Shaw. Noah typed the name into his tablet. Reeve continued. I will submit the relevant disclosures under seal. That is appropriate. His voice hardened. Do not mistake my decision for fear, Mr. Cross. I would never insult you by naming your motive. The line went dead. Mara stared at me. You made a federal judge recuse himself in less than 5 minutes. No. His brother's invoices did. Noah reviewed Judge Shaw transfers, without evidence of immediate asset destruction. Good. She will still order preservation. We have preserved everything. She may appoint an independent examiner. Better. Mara looked at me. Why is that better? Because Continental's stolen files will be examined beside the originals. The hearing began at 9 the next morning by secure video. The storm prevented flights from leaving the island, so I appeared from the executive conference room. Noah sat beside me. Continental's attorneys occupied a glass boardroom in New York, with Victor at the center. Judge Elena Shaw appeared from chambers. She was in her early 60s, silver-haired, and visibly unimpressed by everyone present. Continental's lead attorney spoke first. His name was Grant Mercer. He described the finale as an orchestrated personal attack. He argued that I had used corporate resources to bait Vanessa into infidelity, manipulated Damian's casting, altered production schedules, and broadcast intimate audio for revenge. Some of it was true. That made the lie stronger. Mercer held up the psychological profile Damian had stolen. This document proves that Mr. Cross was cast as a vulnerable participant, not treated as an owner. The production team anticipated emotional collapse and designed challenges to accelerate it. Judge Shaw looked toward Noah. Is the document authentic? Noah answered. Exists. That was not my question. No, Your Honor. It is not an authentic psychological assessment. Mercer smiled. Convenient. Noah continued. It is a security marker. The smile disappeared. Judge Shaw leaned forward. Explain. The file was placed on an isolated workstation after production detected unauthorized access attempts. It contains false information and a unique embedded identifier. Mercer objected. Judge Shaw ignored him. Noah shared a technical report. The copy displayed by Mr. Lang last night contains identifier Black Glass 7. That identifier has never existed outside the protected workstation until Damian Vale accessed it without authorization. Victor whispered to his attorney. Mercer's expression tightened. Judge Shaw asked, How did Continental One obtain it? Mercer said, We received it from a confidential source. Was the source Mr. Vale? I cannot reveal privileged news-gathering information. Noah placed Damian's signed contract on screen. Continental paid Mr. Vale $400,000 and promised him a television series in exchange for provoking material and appearing in an exclusive interview. Mercer's face hardened. That characterization is false. The judge read silently. Victor looked directly into his camera. Even through the screen, I saw hatred. Judge Shaw asked, Mr. Lang, did your company pay Damian Vale? Victor's attorney touched his arm. Victor ignored him. We entered a development agreement with a public personality. Before or after he entered the restricted editing room? I was not aware of any editing room. Noah shared the messages. Need anything showing manipulation, especially Ethan's setup. Judge Shaw read them. Who is Victor Continental? No one answered. The judge looked into the camera. Mr. Lang. Victor's jaw tightened. It appears to be an informal contact label, used by Vale for you? I cannot confirm that. Noah produced the telephone routing record. The number connected to Victor's private office. Mercer stood. This hearing concerns preservation, not allegations against my client. Judge Shaw nodded. Correct. Let us discuss preservation. Where is the original production archive? I answered. Stored on isolated servers beneath the Aurelia complex with duplicate encrypted copies in Boston and Vancouver. Has anything been deleted since the finale? No. Altered? No. Can you certify that under penalty of perjury? Yes. She looked at Mercer. What specific evidence do you believe is at risk? Mercer referred to contestant releases, editorial logs, internal communications, and audio authorization records. Noah placed each category into the shared docket: original timestamps, digital signatures, witness attestations, redundant copies. The judge reviewed them for nearly 20 minutes. Then she spoke. I will issue a preservation order covering all raw footage, contestant agreements, production communications, and editorial records. I will appoint an independent forensic examiner. Mercer smiled faintly. The smile vanished with her next sentence. I will not suspend Mr. Cross's voting rights. I will not transfer control of the archive. I will not grant Continental One access to proprietary material. Victor leaned toward his attorney. Judge Shaw continued. The evidence presently before the court suggests Continental may have acquired material through unauthorized access. Any party seeking equity must arrive with clean hands. At the moment, yours appear unusually dirty. Mara, watching from the control room, sent Noah a single message. I love her. Judge Shaw ordered Damian's copied device surrendered, prohibited Continental from broadcasting further stolen documents, and scheduled a full evidentiary hearing within 10 days. Mercer tried one final argument. Your Honor, the public harm continues. Mr. Cross is monetizing humiliation. The judge looked toward me. Mr. Cross, has the finale generated extraordinary revenue? Yes. Do you intend to retain it? No. Victor's eyebrows lifted. The judge asked, Where will it go? After production costs, every dollar from the finale broadcast will fund legal support and counseling for victims of financial and intimate betrayal. Noah had not known I planned to say that. Neither had Mara. Judge Shaw studied me. Is that an existing commitment? It is now. She nodded once. The court will incorporate it into the preservation framework. The hearing ended. Continental had failed to seize the show. But the first enemy had only lost his opening move. Noah closed his laptop. You just donated tens of millions of dollars, I know. You could have answered more carefully. I answered correctly. He studied me. This was never about the money. No, what is it about now? Before I could answer, Mara entered. Vanessa disappeared. The room changed. When, I asked. 20 minutes ago. Her room is empty. Medical staff cleared her at dawn. Security thought she was with counsel. The docks are closed. She did not use the docks. Mara placed a tablet on the table. A security image showed Vanessa wearing a production jacket and cap, walking through the underground delivery corridor. Beside her was Celia Ward. Noah stood. Where does that corridor lead? The old naval access tunnel, I said. Mara nodded. There is an emergency pier on the North Cliff. It is not part of the resort plans. Was a boat there? A charter vessel left 15 minutes ago despite the storm. Noah checked his phone. Celia's attorneys filed a whistleblower notice an hour ago. She claims Everbright was deceived by production and that she possesses evidence of criminal coercion. Mara's expression darkened. They took something. We returned to the vault. The steel doors showed no forced entry. The server cabinets remained sealed. Noah checked the access logs, no breach. Then I saw the drawer. One of the physical archive seals had been replaced. The difference was almost invisible. The original seals were applied by hand and carried a slight crescent beneath the final letter. This one was machine printed. I opened the drawer. The Continental files were present. The Everbright files were present. The drawer containing contestant medical and psychological releases was empty. Mara swore. Noah checked the inventory. Vanessa's records, Damian's. Every contestant from this season. Not every record, I said. One folder remained at the back. Mine. It contained no medical assessment because I had never undergone the contestant evaluation. Celia had taken the files that could make us look predatory. Private histories, trauma disclosures, addiction reports, family conflict. Material producers used to keep contestants safe. In hostile hands, it could be reframed as a catalog of weaknesses selected for exploitation. How did Celia access the vault? Mara asked. She did not. Noah looked at me. Then who did? I opened the audit panel. The drawer lock had been released with an internal credentials card. Only 6 people plus one. Noah's, Mara's, Julian's, the archive directors, and the head of production security. I checked the timestamp. 3 in the morning. Mara had been in the broadcast room. Noah had been with legal. I had been in the conference suite. Julian claimed he had returned to his villa after the finale. The archive director had been hospitalized on the mainland for 2 days. That left one name. Head of security. Former military police. 6 years with my company. The man responsible for protecting the island. Mara called his radio. No answer. Noah called his phone. Disconnected. I opened the North Tunnel surveillance. The cameras had gone dark for exactly 11 minutes. When the feed returned, Caleb stood alone beside the emergency pier. He watched Celia's boat disappear into the storm. Then he removed his credentials card, snapped it in half, and dropped it into the sea. Mara stared at the screen. He helped them. Yes. Why? Noah's tablet chimed. A banking alert appeared. Caleb had received $3 million through a trust registered in the Cayman Islands. The trust was controlled by a Continental subsidiary. I looked at the image of him standing in the rain. The betrayal was almost elegant. While the entire country watched Vanessa deceive me, Victor had been buying the man guarding my evidence. Noah spoke quietly. We need to alert the court. Do it. The records contain protected medical information. If Continental leaks them, the contestants will sue us. They should. Mara looked at me. We did not sell the files. We failed to protect them. The sentence hurt more than I expected. The people on the show had signed releases. They had accepted cameras. They had not agreed to have their private histories used in a corporate war. Vanessa had helped steal the records, but dozens of innocent contestants would suffer if I responded carelessly. Victor knew that. He had created a weapon I could not destroy without hurting the people I was responsible for. My phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. Vanessa's voice came through. Hello, Ethan. The connection crackled beneath wind and engine noise. Where are you? Safe. With Celia? She is helping me. No, she is using you. Vanessa laughed, but the sound was thin. You said that about Damian. I was right. You destroyed my life. You built the room. You chose the words. You played me. I gave you opportunities to stop. Her breathing sharpened. You knew I needed the prize money. You could have told me about the debt. So you could judge me? So I could help. You never helped. You watched. I let the accusation sit. There was truth inside it. Not enough to excuse her. Enough to matter. What did Celia ask you to take? I said. Vanessa went quiet. The files belong to the contestants. They prove what you did. They prove we assessed risk. They prove you chose damaged people. That is what Celia told you. I read mine. I closed my eyes. Vanessa's psychological report documented compulsive risk-taking, fear of abandonment, image dependence, and a history of using romantic attention as emotional regulation. It also recommended against casting her if Damian entered the show. I had overridden the recommendation. That decision now stood like a blade between us. You approved me anyway, she said. Yes. You knew what would happen. I knew what could happen and you wanted it. I did not answer quickly enough. She heard the silence. Say it. I wanted the truth. You wanted revenge before I even cheated. I wanted certainty. You built a trap and called my fall a choice. The boat engine roared behind her. I looked through the vault at the empty drawer. You still chose. And now I have proof that you chose too. The line disconnected. Mara looked at me. She read the casting override? Yes. Noah's face hardened. Continental will argue you deliberately cast a psychologically vulnerable partner beside a known temptation to manufacture betrayal. They will not be entirely wrong. Mara stepped closer. You did not force Damian to take money. No. You did not force Celia to steal records. No. Then stop standing there like Victor already won. I looked at her. He has not won. Good. What is the move? I considered the problem. If I denied everything, Victor would release selective pages. If I attacked Vanessa, he would make her the victim. If I demanded the files back, he would claim I feared their contents. There was only one response that removed his leverage. Notify every former contestant, I said. Noah stared at me. All of them? Every season, that is hundreds of people. Tell them what was stolen. Offer independent counsel at our expense. Give them the right to review their own files, private sealing, or permanent destruction, after the court preserves necessary evidence. Mara understood. You are giving them control. It was always supposed to be theirs. Noah typed rapidly. And Vanessa? Her file remains sealed unless she releases it herself. She already has a copy. Then she decides. Mara looked at me. What about your casting override? I release it. Noah stopped typing. That is the most damaging document. I know. It proves you ignored the psychologist. Yes. Victor will use it to claim the entire season was revenge. He will use it whether we release it or not. Noah's expression turned grim. You are walking into the blow. No. I looked at the empty drawer. I am taking it away from him. By afternoon, our statement went live. It did not deny the theft. It admitted it. It named Caleb Stroud as the suspected internal accomplice, disclosed the security failure, and announced complete legal support for every affected contestant. Then I released the casting override bearing my signature. The public response was immediate. Some called it accountability. Others called it a confession. Continental called it proof. Victor appeared on television again before sunset. This time, Vanessa sat beside him. She wore no makeup. Her hair was tied back. The silver dress was gone. She looked smaller than she had on the finale stage. More human, more dangerous. Victor introduced her as a whistleblower. Vanessa faced the camera. Ethan Cross did not discover my betrayal on the show, she said. He designed the show to create it. The interviewer asked whether she denied cheating. Vanessa swallowed. No. That answer surprised everyone, she continued. I was wrong. I heard him. I lied. But he knew Damian and I had communicated before filming. His own psychologist recommended that I not be cast with Damian. Ethan overruled that recommendation. The screen displayed my signed override. Vanessa's voice trembled. He watched me fail a test he secretly created, then broadcast my worst moment to the world. Victor leaned forward. Why are you speaking now? Because there are hundreds of private files showing how this company studies people's trauma and turns it into entertainment. Mara muted the broadcast. She is good. She learned from Celia. Noah watched the audience reaction charts. Public sentiment is shifting. How far? You were at 78% favorable after the finale. You were down to 51. Mara looked at me. Still ahead. For now, Noah said. Continental is teasing more documents tomorrow. I looked at Vanessa's face on the silent screen. She had found a stronger role than victim. Witness. The weakest antagonist had fallen. Damian had lost his sponsors, his contract, and his freedom to leave the country while investigators reviewed the theft. But Victor had stepped into his place. He had more money, more lawyers, more channels, and Vanessa now stood beside him. Noah's phone rang. He read the message and swore. What? Continental filed a second action. For what? They are challenging the original ownership of Hearts Without Masks. Mara laughed once. On what basis? Noah turned the screen toward us. Attached was a scanned development agreement from 5 years earlier. My signature appeared at the bottom. The document stated that all rights to the concept had been assigned to Continental One before I formed Aurelia Productions. I read it carefully. The signature looked real. The witness stamp looked real. Even the paper date matched the night. Victor first invited me to dinner, but I had never signed it. They forged the ownership agreement, Mara said. Noah did not answer. He enlarged the signature. His face changed. What? He looked at me. This is not a digital forgery. How do you know? The pressure pattern is natural. The ink dates correctly. The signature was made by your hand. I took the tablet, the slant, the broken crossbar. The shortened final stroke. It was mine. A memory returned. Victor's private club. A waiter placing a membership card beside my plate. Victor asking me to sign a receipt before we discussed the offer. A stack of papers beneath the top sheet. Carbon transfer. My signature pressed through onto a hidden agreement. I had not signed the contract knowingly, but my hand had created the mark. Noah read the final clause. If the court accepts this, Continental owns the original format. Mara's voice dropped. They could take the show. No, I said. The word came out harder than I intended. Noah looked at me. They have the signature, the witness, and a date before your company existed. Who witnessed it? He scrolled. A name appeared. Julian Pierce, the network president. The third person who had known I created the show. My oldest executive ally. The man who had stood beside me through every season. Julian had signed as witness to the agreement transferring my creation to Victor Lang. The door behind us opened. Julian entered the control room. He wore a dark coat still wet from the storm. Two federal marshals stood behind him. His eyes met mine. I am sorry, Ethan. The taller marshal stepped forward. Mr. Cross, we have an order requiring immediate surrender of all ownership records pending authentication. I did not look at the order. I looked at Julian. How long? His face tightened. Since the beginning. Around us, every production monitor went black. Then the Continental One logo appeared. Victor's voice came through the speakers. Thank you for building my show. The Continental One logo remained on every screen for 6 seconds. Then the control room lights switched to emergency power. No one moved. Julian stood between the marshals with rainwater dripping from the edge of his coat. He looked older than he had an hour earlier. Not frightened, not ashamed enough, just tired. I stepped toward him. You witnessed a contract I never signed. His eyes dropped. I witnessed your signature. That is not what I asked. The taller marshal raised one hand. Mr. Cross, do not interfere with the execution of the order. I looked at him. What is your name? Deputy Marshal Owen Price. Deputy Price, the records you are here to seize are subject to Judge Shaw's preservation order. We are not seizing production records. We are securing disputed ownership documents under a separate order. Signed by whom? He handed the papers to Noah. Noah scanned the first page. Judge Raymond Holt. I knew the name. Holt handled commercial emergencies in the Southern District. Unlike Reeve, he had no obvious financial ties to Continental. That made the order more dangerous. Noah continued reading. The application alleges imminent destruction of original chain of title evidence. Mara laughed bitterly. They stole our medical archive, and now they accuse us of destroying evidence. Price did not react. My instructions are limited. I looked at Julian. Were these your instructions too? He flinched. Ethan. How long? He swallowed. Since before the pilot. The words landed without sound. Mara stepped forward. You sold him out before any of us had jobs? Julian closed his eyes. I did not sell him out. I almost struck him. The impulse came fast and clean. I stopped it. Violence would make him smaller than what he had done. Explain the difference. Julian looked at me. Victor funded the first development lab. No. He offered to. He funded it through me. The room seemed to narrow. 5 years earlier, when I was still building Hearts Without Masks from borrowed offices and presentation decks, Julian had appeared with a private investor. He never named the investor. He told me the money came from a family office interested in experimental entertainment. I accepted because it required no equity. At least, that was what I believed. How much? I asked. $3 million. Mara stared at him. You told us it was $1 million. The rest went into infrastructure, legal setup, and quiet distribution commitments. Noah looked up from the order. You created the appearance that Ethan funded development independently. Julian nodded once, and Victor kept the real paper trail. Yes, I remembered the first cameras, the first test villa, the first group of actors hired to simulate contestant pressure. Every invoice had passed through Julian. Every receipt had looked clean. I had trusted him because he understood the idea before anyone else did or pretended to. Why? I asked. His voice broke slightly. Because without Victor, the show never reaches air. You could have told me, you would have refused, and the pilot would have died. That was my decision. I thought I was protecting the work. No, you were protecting your access to it. He did not answer. That silence was his confession. Price stepped between us. We need access to the ownership archive. Noah held up the order. You have access to specific title records only. No production servers, no contestant files, no editorial material. That as Mara moved toward the console. The system is locked. I looked at her. Open it. Her eyes widened. Ethan, open the title archive. Julian looked at me. You should fight this. I am. You are surrendering the documents. I am preserving the battlefield. Noah understood. If we resist a valid order, Continental frames us as obstructing. I nodded. Mara entered her credentials. The title archive opened. Price and the second marshal began cataloging physical originals and encrypted duplicates. Every transfer agreement, every development invoice, every ownership certificate. The supposed Continental assignment sat among them. A perfect parasite, real paper. Real ink. My Julian's witness mark. The more authentic it looked, the more impossible it would be to destroy. So I would not destroy it. I would prove how it was created. Price sealed the records in evidence containers. Before leaving, Julian turned toward me. There is something else. Mara's voice turned sharp. You have already done enough. He ignored her. Victor did not forge the entire agreement after the dinner. Noah frowned. What does that mean? The document existed before the dinner. That was obvious. No. I mean, the exact pages existed. The terms, the signature section. The witness block. I stared at him. Why does that matter? Because he expected you to challenge it someday. Julian's face tightened. The paper contains your blood. No one spoke. I looked at Noah. He understood the implication before I did. Biological authentication, he said. Julian nodded. At dinner, the membership card had a metal edge. You cut your thumb? The memory returned. A thin sting, a bead of blood. Victor handing me a white napkin. I had pressed my thumb against it, Julian continued. The napkin disappeared. A trace was transferred beneath your signature. Mara stared at him. It is deliberate, Noah said. If a forensic examiner tests the document, they find Ethan's handwriting, period-appropriate ink, and his genetic material. Victor had not prepared a contract. He had prepared a future verdict. I looked at Julian, and you let him. I thought it was insurance. For whom? He had no answer. Price guided him toward the elevator. I stepped closer. Why are you here with the marshals? Julian stopped. Because I filed the authentication statement. Mara inhaled sharply. You verified the contract. Yes. I felt something inside me go still. You could have refused. Victor has my daughter. The sentence changed the room. Not enough to absolve him. Enough to alter the shape, Rachel? I asked. Julian nodded. She was arrested in Singapore 3 months ago. For what? Financial fraud. The account was opened in her name. Transfers passed through it. She knew nothing. Victor arranged it. Yes. And he promised to clear it if you testified. Julian looked at the floor. He promised she would come home. Noah spoke quietly. Do you have proof? Not on me. Where? Julian hesitated. Price touched his shoulder. We need to go. Julian looked at me one final time. The place where you first showed me the heart. Then he entered the elevator. The doors closed. Mara turned toward me. What does that mean? I knew immediately. The first heart had not been a logo. It had been a drawing. Years before the pilot, I had sketched the central concept of hearts without masks on the back wall of an abandoned rehearsal studio in Brooklyn. 6 chairs around a heart divided by camera angles. Julian had been the only person there. Noah checked the time. Continental will seek full ownership recognition at the evidentiary hearing. When? Judge Holt set a preliminary authentication conference for tomorrow afternoon. Mara stared at the dark screens. We have less than a day. No, I said. We have 5 years, she frowned. I turned toward the elevator. Now we use them. The storm began weakening before dawn. The emergency runway reopened shortly after 6. I left St. Aurelia with Noah and Mara aboard a company jet registered to a holding firm. Continental had never connected to me. During the flight, Noah assembled the ownership case. The legal problem was brutal. My signature could be genuine even if my consent was not. Contract law cared about intent, but intent had to be proven. Julian's testimony supported Continental. The blood supported Continental. The date supported Continental. The funding trail supported Continental. Victor had built a bridge from fraud to legitimacy and waited years for me to walk onto it. Mara sat across from me. You knew Continental was hostile. Why did you never inspect the original funding? I did. Then how did you miss $3 million? The money passed through 6 entities and arrived as service credits, equipment discounts, and licensing guarantees. On paper, Julian assembled them. Victor designed them. Yes. She looked out the window. And you trusted Julian. Yes. Does that make you doubt everyone? No. Why not? Because betrayal is not contagious. Mara studied me. That sounded rehearsed. It was not. Then you are improving. We landed outside New York and drove directly to Brooklyn. The rehearsal studio had been condemned 3 years earlier. The block around it had changed. New apartments stood where repair shops once operated. A coffee bar occupied the former costume warehouse. The studio remained. Boarded windows. A faded sign above the door. Noah examined the lock recently replaced. Mara looked down the alley. Victor knows about this place. Possibly I touched the frame. A narrow line of fresh adhesive ran beneath the metal plate. Alarm. Noah crouched. Pressure sensor. Mara stepped back. Can we bypass it? Yes. I called someone I had not spoken to in 8 years. His name was Elias Grant. He had been the first technical director on my original concept tests. Brilliant. Difficult. Paranoid. He answered on the fourth ring. Ethan Cross. You kept the number. I need a door opened. You own many doors. This one remembers you. Silence. Then he said, Brooklyn. Yes. I told you never to go back. You also told me the wall would matter. Another pause. I will be there in 20 minutes. Elias arrived in 14. He wore a brown coat, carried a steel case, and looked almost exactly as he had 8 years earlier, except for the white streak through his beard. He saw Mara and Noah. Too many witnesses. They are not witnesses. What are they? Still here. That answer satisfied him. He opened the steel case. Inside were wires, scanners, and tools arranged with obsessive precision. As he worked on the lock, he spoke without looking at me. Julian came here 6 months ago. Mara glanced at me. Why? He wanted the archive. What archive? Elias' smile forgot he made. I did not remember any archive. Elias bypassed the sensor and opened the door. Dust moved through the morning light. The studio smelled of damp wood, plaster, and old electrical insulation. The original floor markings remained beneath layers of dirt. At the far wall, faded black lines formed a heart divided into 6 wedges. I had drawn it with charcoal during an argument with Julian about camera perspective. The place where I first showed him the heart. Elias walked to the center of the room. You built the first test here using independent cameras. Yes, you did not trust cloud storage. I still do not. You recorded every development meeting locally. The memory surfaced, a steel recorder beneath the sound desk. No internet connection. Direct physical tape backups because the early software crashed constantly. I looked toward the collapsed platform. The master tapes. Julian hid them. Why would he preserve evidence against Victor? Because Julian never trusted Victor either. We moved the ruined platform. Beneath it sat a steel compartment sealed into the floor. Elias entered a code. Nothing happened. He looked at me. The code changed. Can you open it eventually? We do not have eventually. He examined the hinges. Then we cut. The process filled the studio with sparks and burning metal. 30 minutes later, the lid came free. Inside were 12 data cartridges wrapped in plastic, a ledger, 3 notebooks, and a small silver recorder. Noah picked up the ledger. The first page listed development meetings by date. Victor Lang appeared repeatedly. Besides several entries, Julian had written private notes. Refused to disclose investor. Insisted ownership language hidden in service contract. Ethan rejected assignment again. Victor requested signature sample. Mara read over his shoulder. This is contemporaneous evidence, only if authenticated, Noah said. Elias lifted the silver recorder. This will authenticate itself. He inserted a cartridge and connected headphones. Static filled the room. Then voices. Mine, Julian's, Victor's. 8 years younger. Victor said, we can structure the money so Ethan never sees Continental. My voice answered. Then there is no deal, Julian said. He is not transferring ownership. Victor laughed. He will sign what is placed in front of him. I felt the past reach into the room. The recording continued. If you fabricate consent, I will burn every version of this show before you own 1 frame. Victor replied calmly. You misunderstand. I do not need you to consent. I need a court to believe you did. Noah removed the headphones slowly. This changes everything. Not yet. Mara frowned. He admitted the plan. On a recording hidden for years and discovered by the defendant 1 day before court. Noah nodded. Continental will call it manufactured. Elias opened one of the notebooks. Then used the clock. Inside were equipment logs. Each cartridge had been automatically stamped by a hardware oscillator tied to a discontinued satellite timing network. The signals could not be recreated easily because the network no longer existed. Elias explained it with visible satisfaction. The recorder embedded timing drift from the satellite pulse. Every machine had a unique pattern. Can verify the unit existed and recorded at that time. Noah looked at him. Can you testify? Yes. Will you? Elias looked at me. I have been waiting 8 years. My phone rang. Vanessa, I let it ring twice before answering. Her voice was quiet. Victor knows you went to Brooklyn. I looked toward the boarded windows. How? He has someone following you. Mara moved toward the rear exit. Noah checked the alley camera on his phone. Vanessa continued. You need to leave. Why are you warning me? Because he lied to me. That cannot be new. He said the files would protect contestants. He is preparing. Where are you? In his studio. Why do you still have a phone? He wants me to call journalists. I heard voices behind her. A door closing. She lowered her voice. Celia gave me access to the internal server. Victor has a folder called Open Hearts. It contains edited psychological reports for every contestant. Can you copy it? No. Can you delay release? Maybe. Do not get caught. She laughed softly, without humor. You sound concerned. I am concerned about the contestants, of course. There was pain in the answer. I did not soften it. Vanessa, listen carefully. Victor will sacrifice you the moment you stop being useful. I know, do you? Damian taught me. The line struck deeper than she intended. She continued. There is something else. Julian's daughter is not in Singapore. Where is she? Victor moved her 2 weeks ago. To where? I only saw a transfer code. Black Harbor. Noah heard the words through the speaker. He began searching. Vanessa whispered. Someone is coming. Send me anything you have. The call ended. A message arrived. One photograph. A computer screen showing a transfer record. Rachel Pierce. Black Harbor Behavioral Recovery Center. Northern Connecticut. Noah searched the facility. His face changed. It is private, locked, owned through a medical services group. Who controls the group? He traced the holding structure. Continental One. Mara looked toward me. Victor did not arrest Julian's daughter. He imprisoned her. A vehicle turned into the alley outside. Then another. Elias closed the steel case. Those are not reporters. Noah moved to the window. 4 black vans stopped outside the studio. Men in dark jackets exited. No police markings, no visible weapons. They spread across both entrances. Mara picked up a length of metal pipe. How attached are you to this building? Not at all, I said. Elias smiled. Good. He pressed a switch inside the steel case. The studio lights died. A second later, smoke charges ignited beneath the rear floor. The first man entered through the front door. He saw nothing. Then the old rehearsal speakers exploded with feedback so violent that everyone covered their ears. Elias led us through a trapdoor behind the wall. We descended into a maintenance tunnel built before the street was repaved. Mara followed with the recorder cartridges beneath her coat. Noah carried the ledger. I closed the hatch above us as footsteps entered the studio. The tunnel was narrow and wet. We moved by phone light until we reached a rusted ladder beneath the coffee bar across the street. Elias pushed open the access panel. A barista screamed. We climbed into the storage room. Noah locked the panel behind us. Through the front window, we watched the men search the studio. Mara looked at Elias. You planned that escape years ago? No. He brushed dust from his coat. I planned several. We left through the kitchen and entered a delivery van Elias had parked in the next block. As he drove, Noah contacted Judge Shaw's clerk and requested emergency protection of the newly discovered evidence. Mara checked the cartridges. All intact. My phone chimed. A news alert appeared. Continental One had announced a special broadcast for that evening. The title was Truth Behind the Masks. Vanessa would appear live beside Victor Lang. The network promised unreleased evidence exposing systematic psychological abuse across every season of my show. Noah read the announcement. He is accelerating. He knows we found something. Mara looked at me. What do we do first? Court, Rachel, or the broadcast? All three. That is not an answer. It is the only answer. Elias turned onto the highway. How many enemies are we fighting? Victor, no. Victor has lawyers, security, a network, a judge he failed to buy, stolen files, a captive daughter, and your ex-girlfriend on live television. That is not one enemy. That is an ecosystem. I looked at the silver recorder in Mara's hands. Then we removed the center. Noah's phone rang. Judge Shaw's clerk. He listened, then covered the receiver. She will hold an emergency evidence conference in 2 hours. She wants the original recorder in court custody. Give it to her. Mara shook her head. If we surrender the only copy and Continental has someone inside evidence handling, it disappears. Elias spoke from the driver's seat. It is not the only copy. We looked at him. He smiled. I told you I keep everything. He reached beneath the dashboard and removed a second cartridge. Julian gave me this 6 months ago. Noah took it. What is on it? Not the meeting. Then what? Confession. I inserted it into the portable reader. His voice began. If Ethan hears this, then Victor finally forced my hand. The van became silent. Julian continued. The ownership agreement is fraudulent. Ethan never consented. I witnessed the signature because Victor threatened Rachel and because I was a coward. But I preserved the original development recordings, the payment instructions, and the hidden transfer plan. His breathing sounded uneven. There is one thing Ethan does not know. Victor never wanted only the show. Hearts Without Masks was built as a data engine. Every confession, fear response, relationship fracture, and loyalty decision was categorized and sold through a behavioral modeling company called Meridian Black. Mara went pale. We do not sell psychological data. No, Noah said. But Continental had access through Julian's hidden infrastructure. The confession continued. Meridian Black used the contestant models to predict consumer vulnerability, political persuasion, gambling behavior, and financial panic. The show was the public face. The data was the real product. I felt the final shape of Victor's plan reveal itself. He did not want ownership because the show was profitable. He wanted ownership because control of the archive would hide what he had already stolen. Julian's voice lowered. The Master Meridian server is located beneath Black Harbor Behavioral Recovery Center. Rachel was not merely leverage. She was being held above the evidence. The recording ended with one final sentence. If Victor realizes Ethan knows, he will destroy the server and everyone inside the building. Noah looked at the photograph Vanessa sent. The transfer timestamp showed Rachel had entered Black Harbor that morning. Mara checked the distance. 1 hour from here. The court conference began in 2. Victor's broadcast began in 5. And a private facility containing stolen data and a captive witness could disappear before sunset. I called Judge Shaw's clerk. Tell the judge we have evidence of an ongoing criminal conspiracy and an immediate threat to a witness. The clerk asked for details. I will provide them under oath. I ended the call and looked at Elias. Take us to Black Harbor. Noah stared at me. You are ignoring the ownership hearing? No. How do we appear in court? From the truth. Mara fastened her seatbelt. We do not have law enforcement authority. No. We do not know how many guards are there. No. We do not know whether Rachel is alive. No. Elias accelerated. The city fell behind us. On my phone, Continental's countdown to truth behind the masks appeared. Beneath it, Vanessa's face filled the screen. She looked directly into the promotional camera and said, "Tonight I reveal what Ethan Cross was really hiding." I watched her eyes. There was fear there, not of me, of someone standing behind the camera. I closed the video. Victor thinks the finale was my trap. Mara looked at me. Was it not? I watched the road narrow toward Connecticut. No. Black Harbor appeared on the horizon behind a wall of pine trees and electrified fencing. A white medical complex stood at the center. No signs. No patients outside. No windows on the lower level. As we approached, smoke began rising from behind the building. Elias gripped the wheel. They are burning something. Noah checked his phone. Judge Shaw's conference had started without us. Continental's lawyers were already asking the court to recognize temporary ownership. Mara pointed toward the front gate. 2 guards raised their weapons. Elias did not slow down. I opened the silver recorder, activated the live connection to the courtroom, and heard Judge Shaw say my name, Mr. Cross, where van struck the gate. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. I looked through the windshield at the burning building and answered under oath. At the place Continental buried the truth. The front gate folded beneath the van. Steel scraped across the hood. One guard jumped aside. The other fired into the front tire. The shot cracked through the windshield. Elias fought the wheel as rubber tore away from the rim. The van lurched across the courtyard, struck a concrete planter, and stopped 10 yards from the main entrance. Judge Shaw's voice came through the recorder. Mr. Cross, I heard gunfire. You did. Are you in immediate danger? Yes, then leave. I cannot. Continental's attorney spoke over her. Your Honor, this is theater. Mr. Cross is manufacturing another spectacle to distract from the ownership evidence. I opened the van door. Cold air carried the smell of diesel, wet pine, and burning plastic. The guards moved toward us. Both wore gray uniforms without insignia. One held a compact rifle. The other reached for his radio. Mara raised her phone and pointed the camera through the open door. We are broadcasting directly into the court record, she said. The guard with the rifle stopped. Noah climbed out beside me. Judge Shaw, the armed men approaching us are employed by Black Harbor Behavioral Recovery Center, a facility owned through Continental One subsidiaries. The attorney objected again. Judge Shaw's voice sharpened. Mr. Mercer, interrupt one more factual proffer, and I will remove you from the conference. The second guard spoke into his radio. Front breach. 4 intruders. Elias stepped from the driver's side holding his metal case. We are not intruders. The guard pointed the weapon at him. On the ground, Elias looked at me. I dislike people who repeat themselves. Do it anyway. We lowered ourselves slowly. The wet pavement pressed cold through my trousers. The guard approached Noah first and kicked his tablet away. The screen remained connected. Judge Shaw could see boots, asphalt, and the lower half of the weapon. "Identify yourself," she ordered through the speaker. The guard looked down. "What is that?" "A federal judge," Noah said. "You should answer." His face changed. "Not enough." He reached for the recorder. Mara pulled it behind her. The main entrance opened. A woman in a white medical coat stepped outside with 4 more security officers. She was tall, pale, and composed despite the smoke rising from the rear of the complex. "Stop," she said. Every guard obeyed. She looked at us. "My name is Dr. Helena Voss. I direct this facility. You are trespassing on protected medical property." I remained on my knees. "Where is Rachel Pierce?" Her expression did not move. "Is she alive?" "We do not discuss patients." Noah spoke toward the recorder. "Your Honor, we have a sworn statement identifying Rachel Pierce as a coerced witness being held at this location." Dr. Voss looked toward the device. "Who is listening?" "Judge Elena Shaw." For the first time, something entered her eyes. Calculation. She stepped closer. "This facility treats individuals suffering from severe behavioral disorders, Mr. Cross has entered through force, endangered patients, and created panic." Smoke thickened behind the east wing. I looked at it. "What is burning? A generator?" "No. Generator smoke is darker." She looked at the guards. "Remove them from the property." Judge Shaw spoke through the recorder. "No one removes anyone." Dr. Voss froze. The judge continued. "I am issuing an immediate temporary preservation order covering this facility, its records, its patients, and all electronic systems connected to Meridian Black." The name hit Dr. Voss like a slap. Her head turned toward me. Continental's attorney shouted, "Your Honor, Meridian Black is not a party. Then its records should be easy to preserve." Mercer went silent. Judge Shaw continued. "Dr. Voss, do you understand the order?" She stared at the recorder. "I have not been served. You are being served orally in an emergency conference. Written process is transmitting now. Destruction of evidence after notice will expose every responsible person to contempt and criminal referral." Behind the building, an alarm began ringing. Dr. Voss looked toward the smoke. I saw the decision happen inside her. She turned to the guards. "Secure the lower archive. Not extinguish the archive." I stood. The guard aimed at my chest. Judge Shaw's voice came through the speaker. "If any armed person uses force against the participants in this conference, I will refer the matter immediately to federal law enforcement." The guard looked at Dr. Voss. She lowered her hand. "Stand down." Noah retrieved his tablet. Mara kept the camera trained on everyone. I walked toward the entrance. "You cannot enter a medical facility. Then bring Rachel outside. She is sedated." Why? She became violent. Against whom she attempted to harm herself. "Show me the treatment order." Dr. Voss's silence answered. Noah stepped beside me. "Doctor, unauthorized sedation of a competent witness held to be unlawful imprisonment. She is not competent." "Who evaluated her?" "I did." "Under what license?" Her jaw tightened. "Enough." The rear doors burst open. A man in blue scrubs ran into the courtyard. "Doctor, the server room suppression failed." Dr. Voss spun toward him. "You were ordered to clear the lower level. There are still 2 technicians inside. Leave them." The man stared at her. "What? Leave them?" That sentence ended her authority. The guards heard it. The nurse heard it. The court heard it. I moved past her. She grabbed my sleeve. I turned. "Touch me again," I said quietly, "and the next voice you hear will belong to a prosecutor." She released me. Inside, the lobby looked like a luxury clinic built over a prison. White stone floors, soft lighting, no visible locks. Every internal door required a key card. Smoke drifted from the ventilation grills. Patients in gray clothes stood behind glass partitions, while staff tried to move them toward an upper wing. Some looked frightened. Others looked sedated. None looked free. Elias opened his metal case. "What floor?" Noah checked Julian's confession. "The Meridian server is beneath the building." "Rachel?" Mara studied the facility plan displayed beside the reception desk. "Secure observation wing, 2nd floor." I looked at Noah. "You take the court downstairs. You are going after Rachel." "Yes, we should stay together. We do not have time." Elias handed me a small black device. "Door pulse. Press once against the reader. It will open most older magnetic systems." "Most?" "Do not become sentimental about the exceptions." Mara came with me. We climbed the stairs while Noah and Elias headed toward the lower archive. Judge Shaw remained connected through Mara's phone. Every step entered the court record. The 2nd floor smelled of antiseptic and lavender. A nurse stood behind a locked station. "Where is Rachel Pierce?" She looked toward Dr. Voss, who had followed us from the lobby. "No patient information." Mara director ordered staff to abandon technicians in a fire. The nurse's face changed. Dr. Voss said, "Do not answer." The nurse looked at her. Then at the smoke entering the corridor. Room 12. Dr. Voss lunged for the emergency alarm. Mara caught her wrist. They struggled. I pressed Elias's device against the secure door. The reader flashed red. Then green, the lock opened. Dr. Voss shouted for security. No one came. The corridor beyond held 12 rooms with reinforced windows. Room 12 stood at the end. I reached it and looked through the glass. Rachel lay on a narrow bed. Her wrists were secured with padded restraints. An intravenous line entered her arm. Her eyes were closed. I pressed the pulse device against the lock. Nothing happened. Exception, Mara said behind me. I hit the device again. Red light. Dr. Voss approached, breathing hard. She is under medical care. What did you give her? No answer. I looked at the door hinges. Internal, no exposed pins. The glass was reinforced. Mara searched the nurse's station and found a wall cabinet. Inside were emergency override keys. Dr. Voss moved toward her. Mara held up the key ring. You should have treated your staff better. The third key opened the door. I entered. Rachel's skin was cold. Her pulse was slow but steady. The medication bag carried no label. I removed the line. Dr. Voss shouted, "You could kill her." I looked at the clear fluid. "What is it?" She said nothing. Mara aimed the camera at the bag. Judge Shaw, the facility director, refuses to identify an unlabeled intravenous drug administered to a restrained witness. The judge answered immediately. Preserve the bag. I released Rachel's wrists. Her eyelids fluttered. Rachel, no response. I touched her shoulder. Rachel, it is Ethan. I leaned closer. Do not let him own the heart. The same phrase Julian had used. She opened her eyes a fraction. Dad, he sent me. Fear entered her face. Victor, he cannot reach you now. She tried to sit up. Her body failed. Mara helped support her. Dr. Voss remained in the doorway. You have no idea what she did. Rachel looked at her. Hatred cleared some of the fog. She found the server. Dr. Voss continued. She attempted to copy protected patient's voice was weak. It is not patient data. Mara held the phone closer. What is it? Profiles. Who's everyone? Dr. Voss stepped forward. I blocked her. Rachel breathed slowly. They trained prediction models. The show data was only the beginning. They added banking records, shopping behavior, medical histories, gambling patterns, political donations. The court remained silent. Rachel continued. Meridian could identify when a person was lonely, desperate, ashamed, angry. Then Continental sold the timing. To advertisers? Mara asked. Her eyes closed. Casinos, campaigns. Insurance companies said. She's delirious. Rachel forced her eyes open. The proof is under the server floor. I looked at Mara. Tell Noah. She sent the message. A blast shook the building. Ceiling dust fell over the bed. The fire alarm changed pitch. Judge Shaw's voice came through the phone. What happened? Mara looked toward the corridor. Explosion below us. Rachel gripped my sleeve. They are destroying the cold archive. I lifted her from the bed. She was lighter than she should have been. Dr. Voss moved aside as we carried her into the corridor. The patients behind the other windows watched us. Some pressed their hands against the glass. A young man in room 9 mouthed one word. I stopped. Mara saw it. We cannot leave them. Smoke flowed more heavily from the vents. Dr. Voss said, they are dangerous, so are you. I took the emergency keys from Mara and opened room 9. The young man stepped out slowly. Can you walk? Yes. Open the others. His hands shook, but he took the keys. The nurse from the front station entered the corridor with 2 orderlies. She looked at Rachel in my arms. Then at Dr. Voss. What was in the intravenous bag? Dr. Voss said nothing. The nurse's face hardened. Open every room, she told the orderlies. Dr. Voss shouted, I am still the director. No one listened. The patients moved toward the stairs. Mara guided Rachel beside me while filming the evacuation. Judge Shaw ordered local fire services and state police to the facility. Sirens sounded faintly beyond the trees. Then the building lost power. Darkness swallowed the corridor. Emergency lights flashed red. A voice came through the public address system. Victor Lang, Ethan. Everyone stopped. His voice sounded calm. Close. You always did prefer a live audience. I looked toward the ceiling speakers. Where are you? Dr. Voss went pale. She had not expected him to speak. Victor continued. You broke into a medical facility, removed restraints from unstable patients, interfered with treatment, and entered a restricted server level during a fire. Mara raised the phone. The court is listening. I know, Victor said. Good morning, Judge Shaw. The judge's voice came through Mara's speaker. Mr. Lang, preserve all systems and surrender control of the facility. Victor laughed softly. Your jurisdiction is optimistic. The alarm stopped. Silence filled the building. Then magnetic locks engaged across the stairwell doors. Patients screamed. Victor spoke again. Ethan, you can save Rachel or the archive. Not both. I looked toward the stairwell. The electronic lock showed red. Smoke climbed behind the glass. Rachel whispered. He will flood the lower level, Mara asked. With what? Fire suppressant. That sounds helpful. Rachel shook her head. Not the system they use, Victor answered for her. Excellent for machines. Less comfortable for people. Noah and Elias were below. I placed Rachel into the nurse's arms. Get everyone to the roof. The nurse looked at the locked stairwell. How? I gave her Elias's pulse device. Find a reader that accepts it. You cannot go downstairs. Noah is there. So is the archive. This is not about the archive. Victor's voice came through the speakers. It was always about the archive. I looked directly into the nearest ceiling camera. That is why you will lose. I ran toward the service stairwell. Mara followed. Go with Rachel. No, that was not a request. Then it was unsuccessful. Where the pulse device was gone. I pulled a fire extinguisher from the wall and struck the reader. Once, twice, the casing broke. Mara tore wires free. The lock released. Heat rolled up the stairs. We descended. The lower hallway was filled with smoke and white vapor. A warning light flashed above the archive entrance. Oxygen displaced active. Mara did the same. We found Elias near the server chamber door, dragging Noah by the shoulders. Noah was conscious but barely. Blood ran from his forehead. What happened? Charge under the floor, Elias coughed. They wanted to collapse the evidence room. Did you find the archive? He pointed through the smoke, beneath the raised floor. Mara grabbed Noah's arm. We need to leave. Elias shook his head, the door sealed. I looked at the chamber. Behind reinforced glass, flames climbed around the server racks. A metal floor panel had blown open. Beneath it sat black storage cases, Meridian's cold archive. The evidence was visible. So was the trap. Victor's voice came through a speaker near the ceiling. Choose. I looked at Noah. He forced himself upright. Take the cases. No. Ethan, no. We need proof. We have witnesses. Witnesses can be destroyed, so can people. I pulled him toward the stairs. He resisted. Mara slapped him. The sound cracked through the corridor. Noah stared at her. Then he moved. Elias remained near the chamber. What are you doing? I asked. He opened his metal case, building a witness that cannot breathe. He removed a compact drive and connected it to an exposed fiber port beside the door. Can you copy the archive? Not all much. The index, transfer logs, buyer list. Enough to point investigators toward every copy. The oxygen warning changed. Mara swayed. I caught her, Elias. He watched the progress indicator. 30 seconds. We do not have 30. Then spend them carefully. I dragged Noah toward the stairs with one arm and supported Mara with the other. Elias remained behind. The white vapor thickened. At the first landing, Mara pulled away. We are not leaving him. He knows. That is not good enough. A figure appeared below. Elias climbed through the smoke, holding the drive between two fingers. Your faith is touching and inefficient. We pulled him through the door. I slammed it shut behind us. The stairwell air was cleaner. Noah collapsed against the wall. Mara held the drive. Did you get it? Elias coughed until blood touched his lips. Every client, sirens roared outside. Above us, patients reached the roof. We emerged into the courtyard as state police vehicles broke through the ruined gate. Fire crews moved toward the building. Dr. Voss attempted to leave through the Western Service Road. 2 officers stopped her. Rachel sat beneath a blanket beside the ambulance. When she saw me, she stood despite the medic's protest. Where is my father with federal marshals? Is he safe? No. The honesty hurt her, but she nodded. Judge Shaw remained connected. Mr. Cross, transmit the copied material to the court immediately. Elias handed the drive to Noah. Noah connected it to a secure tablet. The directory opened. Meridian Black Buyer Index. Banks, insurers, casinos. Political consulting firms. Foreign intelligence contractors. And Continental One. At the top of the transfer history was Victor Lang's authorization code. Noah transmitted the index. Judge Shaw spoke slowly. I am referring this matter to the Department of Justice, the Federal Trade Commission, and the relevant state authorities. I am freezing all disputed ownership transfers involving Hearts Without Masks and Meridian Black. Continental's attorney began objecting. She silenced him. I am also issuing warrants for preservation of Continental One's executive servers. Victor's voice came through the facility speakers again. You found a list. I looked toward the camera above the entrance. We found your buyers. You found names without context. We found transfer values. Numbers are not crimes. Dead technicians might be. His silence was brief. Then he laughed. No one died. Firefighters emerged from the lower level carrying two unconscious men. Both were breathing. Victor continued. You see? Another dramatic rescue for your cameras. I looked toward Mara's phone. The court feed had captured everything. You wanted an audience, I said. No, Ethan. You did. He was right about that once. Not anymore. Police entered the lobby. Dr. Voss was placed in handcuffs. Rachel gave her statement to a federal agent. The patients were moved to hospitals under independent supervision. The building burned behind us, but the archive index had escaped. Victor's center was exposed, yet he was still speaking through the cameras, still connected. Noah received a message. His face tightened. What? Victor has begun the broadcast early. Mara opened the Continental stream. Truth behind the masks filled the screen. Victor sat alone in the studio. Vanessa's chair beside him was empty. He looked directly into the camera. Tonight's promised interview has changed, he said. Vanessa Cole is no longer available. I looked at Rachel. Where is Vanessa? She shook her head. Victor continued. Ethan Cross would like you to believe he rescued victims from a secret facility. What he actually did was attack a medical center and steal private data. Behind him, edited footage showed our van striking the gate. No guards aiming weapons, no smoke, no restrained patients. Only chaos. My face. Victor leaned forward. But there is one truth even Ethan cannot edit. The screen behind him changed. The original ownership agreement appeared. My signature, my blood, Julian's witness statement. Then a live image of Julian seated in another studio. He looked exhausted. A bruise darkened his cheek. Victor said, Julian Pierce is prepared to testify that Ethan knowingly assigned Hearts Without Masks to Continental One. Julian looked into the camera. His eyes moved slightly to the left. Someone stood beside him. Victor asked, Mr. Pierce, did Ethan Cross sign the agreement voluntarily? Julian's mouth opened. Before he answered, Rachel took Mara's phone. Dad, her voice entered the live court feed, but not Victor's broadcast. Julian could not hear her. He lowered his eyes. Then he said, yes. Rachel began crying. The creator was never the owner. Noah checked the court docket. Judge Holt has scheduled an emergency public authentication hearing tonight. Victor is forcing the ownership ruling before federal agents can seize his servers. Mara looked at me. We have Julian's confession. He will claim coercion. We have the development recordings. He will call them fabricated. We have Meridian. That proves data theft, not ownership. Rachel wiped her face. My father left something else. I turned toward her. What? He told me that if Victor ever forced him to testify, I should remember the first rule of the heart. I knew the design. 6 wedges. 6 camera angles. No single perspective showed the whole truth. What was the rule? Rachel looked at the live image of her father. The center never belonged to the cameras. The phrase unlocked a memory. The original heart drawing contained a small blank circle at its center, a dead zone, a place no camera covered. Julian had argued that every reality format needed one private space where contestants could exist without performance. I rejected the idea for the show. But we used the center during development meetings. The first agreements. The first funding discussions. The first conversation with Victor. Not recorded by Elias's main cameras. Recorded by something else. I looked at Elias, the center microphone. He smiled despite the blood on his mouth. Now you remember. It had been hidden beneath the floor. Independent from the recorder Victor knew about. A primitive analog device Julian installed because he distrusted every digital system. Where is the tape? Elias's smile faded. Julian took it 6 months ago. Rachel looked toward the phone showing her father. He gave me a key before they moved me. She reached beneath the blanket and pulled a narrow brass key from the seam of her sleeve. The deposit box is under my mother's name. Noah checked the time. Judge Holt's hearing began in 3 hours. The box was in Manhattan. Victor had Julian. Vanessa was missing. Federal agents were moving toward Continental headquarters. But the network was still broadcasting. I took the key. This was the final trap, not mine's. He had betrayed me, then spent years preparing one path back. I looked at the burning Black Harbor building. Get Rachel into protective custody. Mara asked, where are you going? To hear the part Victor thought no one recorded. Noah stood beside me. And after that, I looked at Victor's face on the screen. He had survived the finale, the injunction, the Black Vault, the forged agreement, and the exposure of Meridian. He still believed ownership would save him. After that, I said, we end the show. The bank opened its private vault floor at 6 in the evening for 3 people. Rachel remained under federal protection at a hospital in Connecticut. Noah carried her signed authorization. Mara carried the original court connection and 3 redundant recording devices. I carried the brass key Julian had hidden in his daughter's sleeve. Outside, Manhattan moved beneath a wet gray sky. Continental One filled every screen in every bar, airport lounge, hotel lobby, and apartment where viewers had followed the scandal. Victor Lang sat beneath studio lights while legal analysts debated whether I had ever owned the show I created. The public authentication hearing would begin in 90 minutes. Continental's headquarters had already received the federal preservation order. Agents occupied the lobby, but Victor remained on air because the order protected evidence. It did not yet remove him from the building. He was using every minute. The bank manager led us through two steel gates and into a narrow room lined with deposit boxes. He verified Rachel's documents twice. Then he stopped before box 318. Registered to Evelyn Pierce, he said. Julian's wife, Rachel's mother. She had died 4 years earlier. The manager inserted his control key. I inserted the brass key, the lock turned. Inside lay a single brown envelope and an old cassette tape. No contracts, no letters. No explanation. Mara looked at it. Please tell me Elias brought a machine. Noah opened his bag. He brought 3. We used the bank's private conference room. The first cassette deck rejected the tape. The second played only static. The third caught the signal. A low mechanical hum entered the room. Then Victor's voice. You are thinking too emotionally. The recording was older than the other development tapes. The sound was rougher. The center microphone had captured footsteps, chairs scraping, and the faint rattle of the rehearsal studio's broken ventilation fan. My younger voice answered. It is my format. For now. There is no for now, Julian spoke next. Victor, Ethan has rejected the assignment, I heard him. Then the meeting is over. Victor laughed. No, the performance is over. Paper moved across a table. Then Victor spoke more slowly. Ethan, sign the club receipt tonight. Julian will witness the development agreement tomorrow. Your blood will authenticate it if handwriting becomes inconvenient. Silence followed. Not mine, not Julian's. The silence belonged to people realizing a crime had been described as though it were ordinary business. My younger voice said, You are threatening to forge my consent. I am explaining your future. You think no one will believe me. I think everyone believes documents. Julian's chair scraped. This is criminal, Victor answered without raising his voice. Then walk away. Take your daughter, your debts, and your career with you, Julian said. Leave Rachel out of this. There is no outside, Julian. That is the first lesson of ownership. I looked at Noah. He was already making notes for the hearing. The recording continued. Victor described the hidden funding, the pressure campaign, the signature transfer, the biological trace. Then he said the sentence we needed. The agreement will not record a transaction. It will create one after the fact. Mara stopped breathing for a moment. That was not implication. It was intent, Victor continued. When Ethan's show becomes valuable, the paper becomes real, because the court then, it sleeps. My younger voice came through again. You will never own the heart. Victor sounded amused. I do not need the heart. I need the center. The tape clicked. Then Julian's voice entered from much closer to the hidden microphone. He must have returned to the room alone after Victor and I left. If anyone finds this, Victor Lang planned the fraudulent assignment before Ethan signed the club receipt. I am preserving the tape because I am already afraid I will not be brave enough later. His breathing shook. I am sorry. The tape ended. No one spoke. Outside the conference room, the bank continued operating with quiet efficiency. Doors opened. Money changed hands. Inside, Victor's ownership claim died. Noah checked the cassette housing. The tape stock can be dated. The bank custody record proves the box remained sealed for 4 years. Evelyn's account records may show when it was deposited. Mara copied the audio onto 2 secure drives. What if Holt excludes it? He will not, Noah said. How do you know? Because Judge Shaw just transferred the ownership dispute into her consolidated proceeding. His phone displayed the order. Judge Holt had attempted to retain the authentication hearing, but the Meridian evidence, witness coercion, and overlapping preservation issues forced consolidation. Victor had wanted a narrow ruling before the larger crime swallowed him. He was too late. The hearing would still begin in less than an hour. Now Judge Shaw would preside. I looked at the brown envelope. We had almost forgotten it. Inside was a handwritten letter from Evelyn Pierce. Not to Julian. To me. Ethan, Julian told me enough to understand that he had helped a powerful man steal something from you. He also told me he believed he could repair it later. Men who say later are often asking someone else to survive the present. I placed the tape here because Julian was afraid he would surrender it under pressure. I did not tell him which box I used. Rachel knows the key exists, but not what it opens. Do not forgive him because he was frightened. Do not hate him because he was frightened. Make him tell the truth while it still costs him something. The final sentence was underlined. The truth that costs nothing is usually marketing. Mara read it over my shoulder. She understood reality television. She understood Julian. Noah folded the letter carefully. This should remain private. Yes, the hearing began at 7:30. Judge Shaw appeared from a federal courtroom filled with attorneys, agency representatives, and press observers. Continental's legal team occupied one side. Noah and I appeared remotely from the bank conference room. Mara sat beyond the camera, monitoring the live broadcast. Victor joined from the Continental studio. He had refused to leave the anchor desk. Julian sat beside him under the same bright lights. His bruise was more visible now. Vanessa remained missing. Judge Shaw called the matter to order. This proceeding concerns the disputed ownership of the Hearts Without Masks format, alleged fraudulent procurement of an assignment agreement, unauthorized acquisition of protected records, witness coercion, and evidence associated with Meridian Black. Continental's lead attorney stood. Your Honor, the defense is attempting to bury a simple contract dispute beneath sensational allegations. Judge Shaw looked at him. Your client's facility used armed guards, involuntary sedation, and an oxygen displacement system while subject to a preservation order. Those facts remain disputed. I watched them happen. Mercer sat down. Judge Shaw turned toward me. Mr. Cross, do you deny that the signature on the assignment agreement is yours? No. The answer caused movement throughout the courtroom. Victor smiled, I continued. My hand produced the signature. My consent did not produce the agreement. Judge Shaw asked, explain. Noah introduced the first development recordings. Victor's own voice filled the courtroom. He will sign what is placed in front of him. The sound quality was clear. The hardware timing report followed. Elias appeared by video from the hospital, oxygen tubing beneath his nose. He explained the discontinued satellite timing system, the recorder's unique drift pattern, and the physical custody of the cartridges. Continental's attorney attacked him. You are a former employee of Mr. Cross. I was fired by Mr. Cross. The attorney paused. For what I called his first pilot emotionally illiterate. Mara smiled beyond the camera. The attorney tried again. You remained loyal to him. No. I remained loyal to my equipment. Elias authenticated every recording. Then Noah introduced Julian's private confession. His voice entered the courtroom. The ownership agreement is fraudulent. Ethan never consented. On the Continental broadcast, Julian lowered his head. Victor did not look at him. Mercer objected. Coerced, unsworn, and unreliable. Judge Shaw said the court will consider the circumstances. Then Noah held up the cassette. This recording was stored in a private deposit box under the name of Evelyn Pierce. Bank records show the box was sealed more than 4 years ago and remained unopened until today. Victor's face changed, only slightly. But I saw it. The cassette played. Every word entered the court record. The club receipt, the hidden agreement, the blood. The plan to create a transaction after the fact. Victor's sentence repeated across every network that carried the hearing. The agreement will not record a transaction. It will create one after the fact. The courtroom fell silent. Judge Shaw looked toward Victor. Lang, did you make that statement? His attorney touched his arm. Victor ignored him. The recording is manipulated. Elias spoke from the hospital screen. It is analog. That does not make it authentic. No, Elias said. Your voice does. Victor's attorney objected. Judge Shaw overruled him. Noah introduced the bank records, tape manufacturer dating, microphone schematics, and Evelyn's deposit history. Each piece closed another exit. Victor remained composed. He had built his life around surviving evidence. Then Judge Shaw turned toward Julian. Pierce, you submitted a sworn authentication statement supporting Continental's agreement. Julian looked toward the camera. Yes. Was that statement true? Victor's hand moved beneath the desk. Julian saw it. So did I. A warning. Judge Shaw repeated the question. Was it true? Julian looked into the main lens. For 5 years, he had told himself he was preserving the show. For 3 months, he had told himself he was saving Rachel. For one night, he had told himself he had no choice. Now the truth would cost him everything. He removed the microphone from his lapel. Victor spoke sharply. Julian. Julian placed the microphone on the desk. Then he stood. No. The word entered the studio through overhead microphones. Judge Shaw leaned forward. Know what? My statement was not true. Victor rose. His attorney tried to stop him. Julian continued. Ethan never consented to transfer ownership. Victor created the agreement, obtained Ethan's signature through deception, used blood from a cut napkin to strengthen authentication, and forced me to sign as witness. Judge Shaw asked, "Why did you submit the false statement?" "Because Victor confined my daughter at Black Harbor and threatened to destroy her life." Victor shouted, "He is lying." Julian turned toward him. "No. I am finally charging full price." The line cut through the room. Rachel was watching from the hospital. Mara showed me a private feed. She covered her mouth and cried. Julian faced the camera again. "I helped conceal Continental funding. I approved access paths that allowed Meridian Black to collect behavioral data. I told myself I was protecting Ethan's creation from worse people while serving the worst one in the room." Judge Shaw asked, "Do you understand that your testimony may expose you to criminal liability?" "Yes." "Do you request counsel?" "I already have counsel." He looked toward Victor. "And I have wasted enough time being afraid." Victor stepped away from the desk. Federal agents entered the Continental studio behind him. The cameras kept broadcasting. That was the cruelty of live television. No editor could protect him. An agent identified herself and instructed Victor to surrender his phone. He laughed. "This is a corporate dispute." The agent held up a warrant. "It is now a criminal investigation." Victor looked toward the nearest camera. He had spent decades understanding where power lived. Inside documents, inside distribution, inside the delay between an act and the moment the public understood it. For the first time, all three had turned against him. He pointed at me through the monitor. This man manipulated his girlfriend into cheating for ratings. The hearing became still. He had chosen his last weapon, Vanessa. I answered before Noah could stop me. I cast Damian, knowing Vanessa had communicated with him. Mara looked at me sharply. "Did you override a recommendation against casting them together?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I wanted certainty about my relationship." Victor smiled. I continued. "That decision was selfish. It endangered the integrity of the production and contributed to harm. I accept responsibility for it." His smile faded. I looked directly into the camera. "But my wrongdoing does not become your ownership. Vanessa's betrayal does not become your license to steal medical files. My failure does not erase your crime." Judge Shaw watched me carefully. Victor said, "You built an execution and called it truth." "Yes." "The admission surprised everyone," I continued. "The finale became revenge. I crossed that line knowingly." Noah remained silent beside me. "I cannot undo the broadcast. I can surrender every personal profit connected to it, submit the season to independent review, and give contestants control over their private records." Victor laughed. "You think confession cleans you?" "No." I looked at him. "It removes your leverage." That was the moment he understood. He had built his defense around my denial. He expected me to protect my image, to claim purity, to hide my casting decision. By admitting the truth, I had separated my failure from his conspiracy. He could no longer hold one over the other. Judge Shaw issued her preliminary findings. The assignment agreement was likely procured through fraud and lacked valid consent. Continental's ownership claim was suspended. Hearts Without Masks remained under Aurelia control pending final adjudication. All Meridian assets were frozen. Victor's executive authority over Continental Systems was suspended under the Federal Preservation Framework. Julian was placed in protective custody. Then Judge Shaw addressed me. "Cross, the evidence suggests serious ethical failures within your production, even if they do not establish Continental ownership." "I agree. I am appointing an independent monitor. I accept you will not commercially exploit any disputed contestant material." "I will not." "You will submit the full season to review." "Yes." She paused. "You appear unusually willing to surrender control." "I learned what happens when control becomes the only thing a person protects." Victor heard it. So did Julian. Judge Shaw ended the hearing. Federal agents approached Victor. He remained standing behind the anchor desk. The studio audience had been removed. The lights remained bright. The camera's red indicator continued glowing, because no technician had received an order to cut the feed. Victor looked into it. "Turn that off." No one moved. He said it again. "Turn off the camera." The agent took his wrist. Victor pulled away. His composure finally broke. "This network exists because of me." Julian stood several feet away. "No," he said. "It exists because thousands of people built it while you signed your name." Victor stared at him. The agent secured the first handcuff. A side door opened. Vanessa entered the studio. Everyone froze. She wore the same plain clothes from her earlier interview, but there was dried blood near her hairline. A federal agent followed her. Victor's face hardened. "You." Vanessa looked at him. "You should have checked Celia's access logs." Mara received an update and showed it to me. Vanessa had escaped a private holding suite inside Continental headquarters shortly before the hearing. She had copied the Open Hearts release schedule, internal editing instructions, and messages ordering Celia to leak psychological records selectively. She walked toward the anchor desk and placed a drive on it. I gave them everything. Victor laughed once. You think Ethan will forgive you? Vanessa looked toward my image on the studio monitor. No, the answer was immediate. Honest. I am not doing this for forgiveness. She faced Victor again. I am doing it because you thought shame made me yours. The second handcuff closed. Agents led Victor away. As he passed the central camera, he looked toward me. You think you won? I remembered the private club. The glass of wine. His explanation that ideas belong to those strong enough to distribute them. No, I said. You lost. His face twisted, I continued. The show was never yours. The studio doors closed behind him. For the first time since the finale began, the screen went black. 3 weeks later, Continental One's board removed Victor permanently. Federal prosecutors charged him with conspiracy, unlawful data trafficking, obstruction, witness coercion, and fraud. Dr. Voss was charged for what happened at Black Harbor. Caleb Stroud was arrested while attempting to cross into Canada using a false passport. Celia Ward negotiated cooperation after Everbright dismissed her. Damian surrendered the stolen device and blamed everyone except himself. His development contract vanished. His sponsors did not return. Julian pleaded guilty to fraud and false statements. Rachel visited him before sentencing. I did not ask what they said. Some truths belonged outside cameras. He provided complete access to Meridian's infrastructure and helped investigators identify every buyer. His cooperation reduced his sentence. It did not erase it. The independent review of Hearts Without Masks lasted 6 months. It confirmed that most contestants had received proper support. It also confirmed that I had overridden safeguards in Vanessa's case and allowed personal motives to shape production. I resigned as executive producer. The board asked me to remain majority owner. I agreed only after contestant representatives received permanent voting seats and authority over psychological data policies. The show did not return the following season. Some people called that defeat. They were wrong. Not everything that survives deserves another episode. The finale revenue funded independent legal and counseling services as promised. Former contestants were allowed to review their records. Most chose to seal them. Some destroyed them. A few released parts publicly and told their own stories in their own words. Vanessa pleaded guilty to participating in the archive theft. Her cooperation, the evidence she recovered from Continental, and the absence of any attempt to profit from the stolen files reduced the penalty. She received probation, restitution, and mandatory treatment for gambling addiction. I did not pay her debt. I transferred it to an independent trustee under a repayment plan she negotiated herself. Helping was no longer the same as rescuing. We met once after the criminal hearings ended. No cameras. No microphones, no hidden producers, a small cafe near the river. She arrived early. I almost left when I saw her through the window. Then I entered. Vanessa looked different without the performance. Not less beautiful, less arranged. She held a cup of coffee between both hands. Thank you for coming. I sat across from her. You said you had something to return. She placed my old black watch on the table. I had left it in the villa after the finale. I kept it because I thought it was valuable, she said. It is. She looked at the scratched face. How much? It was a gift. That is not what I asked, it is the answer. She nodded. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she said, I meant what I told Victor. Which part? I do not expect forgiveness. Good. The word hurt her. I did not take it back. She looked toward the river. I spent years believing love was proof that I could leave and still be chaste. I said nothing. You always chaste. Yes, until the show. She looked at me. Did you ever love me? Yes. The answer surprised her more than denial would have. Do you still? No. Her eyes filled. She did not use the tears. That was new. I am sorry, she said. For what? All of it. That is too large to be useful. She took a breath. For lying about Colin. For the second phone. For using your patience as evidence that you would tolerate anything. For choosing Damian before the show and making you watch me pretend I had not. I looked at the watch between us. And I am sorry for turning your failure into entertainment. She stared at me. I thought you would never say that. I should have said it sooner. Does that mean we are even? No. She almost smiled. Still cold, still accurate, she pushed the watch toward me. What happens now? You repay the debt. I meant us. There is no us. Her fingers tightened around the cup. Could there ever be? I remembered the villa, the terrace, the bathroom audio, the stage, her knees on the floor, my own satisfaction when the screen came alive. Some things could be understood. Some could be regretted. Not everything should be rebuilt. No, she closed her eyes, then nodded. I took the watch. At the door, she spoke one last time. Ethan, I turned. You were not harmless. I looked at her. That was never the problem. I left her beside the river. A year after the finale, the Glass Theater on St. Aurelia reopened under a different name. No reality show. No hidden microphones. It became a training and retreat center for documentaries, participant safety, and independent media production. Mara ran it. Noah chaired the legal foundation. Elias installed an analog recording room and placed a sign above the door. Every machine lies differently. Rachel visited during the opening. Julian was not there. His sentence had begun 2 months earlier. She stood beside the restored silver heart logo in the lobby. The center remained blank. You kept it, she said. The blank space? Yes. It was the only honest part. She smiled. What will you create next? I looked through the glass toward the ocean. For years, I believed creation meant control, a format, an ending no one else could change. Victor believed the same thing. That was why he lost everything trying to own what other people made. I touched the black watch on my wrist. I do not know yet. Rachel laughed. That sounds healthy. It feels inefficient. Elias is rubbing off on you. She walked toward Mara and Noah. I remained beneath the heart. The cruel line from the beginning returned one final time. Ethan is harmless. Vanessa had been wrong. So had I. Power was not the ability to expose every secret, crush every enemy, or control the final edit. Power was knowing when the cameras should stop. I reached for the master switch. Across the theater, hundreds of red lights went dark. This time, no one was watching. And for the first time, I did not need them to.